did that. Put him in the aisle.
Touchdown, Nebraska.
Does he have enough? Is it long enough?
It's going to be tipped and caught. It's caught. How many tackles can one man break? He's to the 20. He's to the 10. He's on the way.
Totally unbelievable.
It's game day in Lincoln, America, and this is the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. The A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show is powered by Select Plumbing, Raising Cane's, Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits, Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Currency, and the Kindler Hotel.
Come on.
Get up and get loud, Husker fans. The A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show starts now.
That is right. Welcome in. It is the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show here, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert opening things up as Jake Sorensen is out of town this weekend dealing with some family stuff. But we have a game to talk about. Nebraska, Maryland, just a little over 3.5 hours away from kickoff from College Park, Maryland. Once again, this is the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show on 93.7 The Ticket. This A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show sponsored by our friends at A1 Automotive. Always honest answers. A1 Automotive at 11th and L and now at 5110 State Hill Drive in South Lincoln. We're going to get this show started and the party rolling here as we are joined from boots on the ground in College Park, Maryland. Steve Sipple of Husker Online, as well as Early Break, joins us on the phone. Steve, what is up, my friend? How's things going in College Park, Maryland?
Oh, they're going. Oh, you know what I should say? They're going swimmingly.
You never fail to amaze me on your creativity, Sip. I guess that's what makes you such a profound writer.
I don't know how that came to me, but it did. God bless. God bless the big man. How are you doing there?
I'm doing well. Okay, so to continue playing off the swimmingly joke, hopefully one thing that Nebraska and I suppose Maryland doesn't have to deal with tonight is just some rainy and wet conditions. But it sounds like the rain might be coming. What's the forecast? What's the update there? Is there something we should know about?
Oh, last I heard last night at dinner, the guys were discussing it, and they said it maybe wouldn't the serious rain wouldn't arrive till tonight.
Okay.
Till after 7. So I don't think it's raining right now. I'm in my hotel room and I got the blinds drawn. So I don't know if it wasn't raining a little bit ago. So it's nice out. It's gorgeous. The wind doesn't seem to be a factor, and I think it could be a beautiful day for football, even if there's a little rain.
Yeah, once again, A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show sponsored by A1 Automotive, always honest answers. A1 Automotive at 11th and L and now 5110 State Hill Drive. All right, Sip. Sip, you're joining us from College Park, Maryland. First off, any issues getting out there? How was the travel yesterday getting out there? Since you bailed on me and Bill an early break, was it worth it? Do you regret any of your decision?
No, I didn't. It was a direct flight. We had a direct flight from Omaha. I mean, that was the issue. And we have to get to Omaha. If we would have left from Lincoln, it would have been, maybe I could have done some of the show, but no, we left from Omaha and it's a direct flight. We went to Reagan International. I'm going to call it Reagan International. So we flew right into the city.
Wow.
And had no problems at all.
That's great. That's great. That's big nowadays to have no flight problems. All right, Sip, let's talk about the game here. I guess just a very general question. I mean, what are your thoughts going into today for Nebraska? I mean, Nebraska 4-1. On the other side, though, Maryland's a team, gosh dang. I mean, there's probably a lot of people on that Maryland sideline, Mike Loxley included, if you listen to his press conference from this week, that they feel like they should have been 5-0. I mean, this is a team that against Washington last week was up 20-3 at the start of the fourth quarter, allowed 21 unanswered points in the fourth quarter alone, got shut out in that fourth quarter 21-0, and Washington comes back and beats them 24-21. I mean, on one sideline, Nebraska 4-1, off to a pretty good start. On the other sideline, probably a team that has kind of a disgusting taste in their mouth because they feel like they should still be undefeated.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and I think the thing that's most important to Nebraska in this discussion is it kind of put. I mean, I think this game would have been really exciting around here or much more exciting around here had Maryland closed the deal on Washington. It's kind of remarkable to me how little buzz there is around here. We went to a restaurant last night that was right on campus, and you'd think it would be full of life and energy, and it was not. I mean, it was a place, kind of comparable to Misty's, I suppose.
Okay.
And there's just not a lot of enthusiasm here for. I hate to say it. I mean, there's just not a lot of enthusiasm here for football in general, for college football. And then I think there would have been had they beaten Washington. People were saying that was a sellout. It was kind of I don't know. The locals saying, yeah, you hear that, but it wasn't. It wasn't that much of a sellout. It wasn't completely sold out, and I don't know. It's just I think Nebraska caught a little bit of a break there. As far as the game goes, though, I mean, it's huge. It's huge for Nebraska. Every game feels big for Nebraska, but what I want to see is the D line and the defense in general. I suppose the front seven carry over how it played against Michigan State. That's the thing I'd like to see most. And then on the other side, notice I'm staying kind of in the trenches. It's all about protecting the quarterback. So those are the things that are on my mind going into this one, Swim.
I guess Steve Sipple joining us from College Park ahead of Nebraska and Maryland here in a couple of hours. Sip, I guess I was having this conversation with a couple of people yesterday regarding the big picture in Nebraska. There's an opportunity here for Nebraska at the end of this, or a week from tonight. We're talking about we could be talking about a Nebraska team that's bowl eligible, number one, and then you talk bigger picture. At the end of October, could potentially be 7-1, 8-1. I mean, there's a lot on the table for Nebraska to really feel good about this season, and for a lot of people to frankly forget about Michigan and the fact that Nebraska lost that game there. But then on the flip side of that, there's also an avenue to where Nebraska at this time next week could be 4-3. I mean, these are two, especially today and then Minnesota next Friday. These are two massively important games for the big picture of Nebraska football this season.
Yeah, and that's a very realistic look at it too. I mean, I think what we're talking about here is just opportunity. Nebraska's got this a very doable opportunity. It's a big opportunity. But the key is doable. I mean, it's very doable. You're not playing at the Horseshoe. You're not in Autzen Stadium today. You're at Maryland, where you're better. You're probably a better team. But there's some things that, it's just like every team, Nick. Pretty much every team. Most, 90% of the teams in the country have some issues, vulnerabilities, holes in the too deep, however you want to characterize it. And Nebraska has to manage those today. And if they do, overall, they're a better team. They should win. It's about taking care of business here. And again, it's a lot of it's just related to. It should be in the Big Ten. It's related to the trenches. I think that's the way it should be in this league.
Let's talk about Nebraska's offensive line, because I think that's the side of the ball in the trenches that maybe is most concerning to a lot of Husker fans. I think both sides, obviously, you want to get to the quarterback at a higher rate than what Nebraska has this season. If I remember correctly, 4 sacks against Michigan State last week, but also I was really impressed with the defense last week on how well they just blatantly hit the quarterback. You could tell Aiden Childs got his bell rung a couple of times, and they put Aiden Childs back into the game, and he just wasn't 100% by the end of that contest. Who knows if he was even 100% going into the football game, but you could really tell that Nebraska's defense hit him hard. So we can talk about that in just a second. But up front on the offensive side of the ball, Sip, Nebraska makes the change with Elijah Pritchett at left tackle. Gunnar Gatula moves over to right tackle. Teddy Prohaska is on the bench. and it wasn't an immediate impact, but it depends how much you want to read into PPF grades or PFF grades, excuse me. But ultimately, Nebraska's offensive line was better, but nowhere near what you want it to be last week.
Yeah. I mean, it needs to get better. The pressure, there was a lot of pressure. I think that coaches did a good job this week of making sure the conversation was broader than that. That it wasn't that we're not. And I think that's fair. I don't think it was all on the O-line. I mean, those PFF grades do have some merit, and they showed that the O-line, even in pass protection, wasn't too bad. So that's, I mean, it's just a data point. It's just one data point. There's other data points. Dylan, obviously, sometimes, I mean, he just needs to, I don't like to say, I don't know. I just think there's a couple occasions where you could throw it out of bounds. Maybe you're holding it too long. There's that conversation that's out there. You know, you had a running back that missed an assignment, missed a block. That contributes to it. Play calling contributes to it. That's usually the way football goes. It's usually not a case where you just point to one group or two guys, the tackles or the quarterback. It's usually sort of when you give up that much pressure, it's usually a team-oriented discussion. That said, when this game begins today, when Nebraska has the ball, my eyes are trained on the tackles. Gunnar Gatula on the right side and Elijah Pritchett on the left. That's where your eyes go. That's where they should go, because you talked about it all week. Maryland's DNs are good players. They've put up numbers, sack numbers. They know what they're doing. So, and then the other thing to watch is I think Pritchett's a little banged up. So I'll watch warm-ups pretty close to see what that picture looks like. And but those guys, I mean, let's face it, man. These tackles, you sign up to play tackle, you're in some spotlight there. And then when you play a team like Maryland, or you play a team like Michigan, and then play a team like Maryland, it's tough duty, and that's where it starts today for me.
Yeah, I mean, Maryland's a team comes in tied for 5th in the country in sacks this season so far through 5 games. 19 sacks recorded for Maryland on the season, and they haven't played the most difficult of schedules by any means, Maryland, the Terrapins, but still. The numbers do not lie, and the stats do tell a little bit of the story there. Okay, so hypothetically speaking, I mean, if maybe this is a rhetorical question and it answers itself, but I mean, if Elijah Pritchett unable to go today, we're expecting probably Gunnar Gatula to move back to left tackle and Teddy Prohaska to move right back up into right tackle, like we probably have seen, countless times this season.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would be my guess. I don't know that. And I think, by the way, I want to make clear, I think Pritchett will start. I think it's something to watch. Yeah, I would suspect that would be the case if he can't play. I keep wondering kind of where Turner Corcoran is in that discussion. So I think Pritchett will be okay. It's just swim. I'd say it's something to watch.
Yeah, I think one thing also, something to know, the numbers, you can't look at the box score and get the whole story. But last week, Nebraska didn't necessarily they didn't target Dane Key one time offensively, and Dana was pretty adamant and upfront about, hey, there were roles that Dane Key played that were valuable on Saturday. It wasn't just like he was sitting on his hands last Saturday against the Spartans. But ultimately, it seems like Nebraska and Dana Holgorsen, it feels like each possession they kind of pick a hot hand who kind of has obviously the ebbs and the flows of the game do play a part into it, but it really feels like, okay, on one drive they prioritize Ja'Cory, on another it's Nizea. Last week it was Nizea Hunter. I mean, do you have any idea or any care in the world of who it is today for Nebraska on the road in Maryland?
No, I don't. I mean, I think that they said this week, Holgorsen said this week, they kind of rode the hot hand. They identified Nizea Hunter as the guy that was the hot hand. Like, think of a basketball game where it's evident one guy's, he just seems like he can't miss. I think it was like Hunter was kind of like that guy. They identified him early as that guy, and he's playing with a lot of confidence. Jacory's not far behind in that category. Jacory's he's clearly, remember Swim. You go to those press conferences. He said he's set about to improve his downfield playmaking ability because he wasn't much of a downfield playmaker last year.
Yeah.
So what's he do? I mean, he works on it and then has a 45-yard catch against Michigan State that swings the game. That was big. But as far as Dane Key goes, I mean, that's Dylan's roommate, man. I mean, Dylan and Dane Key are tight and they work hard at it. They work hard at football together. He's not going away. It's sort of a good news discussion, in my opinion, because he'll rematerialize here pretty quick, maybe today or whatever, probably in a big way. So he didn't have any catches last week. I think he had 3 against Michigan. I suspect he'll be more active today.
Once again, Steve Sipple joining us from College Park as Nebraska gets ready to take on the Maryland Terrapins here at 2:30 p.m. Central Time on Big Ten Network. This segment of the pregame show sponsored by our friends at A1 Automotive. Always honest answers. A1 Automotive at 11th and L and now 5110 State Hill Drive. This feels like a game, Sip. The spread has been fluctuating between 6.5, 7.5 in favor of the Huskers. When we talked to a friend of your program, Lee Sterling, yesterday, he feels like Nebraska will win this one 28-24. Was his prediction. So by that conversation, Maryland covers the spread. That's kind of where I'm at in terms of it feels like it's going to be a close game. And in those close games, special teams plays a big factor in it. You mentioned Jacory Barney, and he's had himself quite a season so far in comparison to other Nebraska seasons in the punt return game. I mean, this feels like a game to where if Nebraska can once again steal maybe something in the special teams game from the mind of Mike Eckler, Nebraska might have an upper hand in this one.
Yeah, I'd just like to see that momentum continue too. I mean, the defensive momentum from last week and the special teams momentum would be great. They're playing at a pretty high level on special teams now. Not just return game, just pretty much everything. And they feel today, one thing to watch, I don't know, you hear a lot of the same stuff I hear, but there's sort of this sort of undertone of watch the kickoff return. That could be the big one this week. They had the punt return game was huge last week. This week, it could be the kickoff return. They feel really confident about something big happening there. You were talking last week about the block punt. They felt really good about that going into last week. If they got a certain look, they could get one. So they got that. The punt return game was clicking. Now they feel like this week it could be Maryland's susceptible. They haven't defended kickoff returns well. So I think that's definitely something to watch. And I do think they need the defense and special teams today. I think offense could be a bit of a struggle. And 28-24, I was in that range score wise, and I've brought down the number a little bit. I think this number won't be there. I don't think it'll be as big as that. I'm thinking like a 28-12 type game.
Okay, but in favor of Nebraska.
Yes, I'm sorry, Swim. Yes, Nebraska.
That's fine. I think it's interesting. You talk more than anybody to these coaches and stuff. I thought it was very interesting earlier this week, Matt Rule, when he was asked about special teams and talking about it. And the big, hot button issue was against Michigan. If he should have went for it on that 4th down on the first possession of the game, if they should have sent Kyle Kananen out there for field goals and stuff. And I can't remember if it was this week or prior to the Michigan State game. Matt was kind of talking about, maybe he should have kicked more field goals earlier in the season. Maybe he should have elected to send the units out there maybe more often than not. I don't know. Do you feel like as we approach almost to the second half of the season here, this is game 6 now, as we approach the second half of the season, do you feel like Matt is not questioning his decision making, but might change how he manages some of the games going forward? Which it's weird for us to say that when you're 4-1 overall.
Yeah, that's a hard question. think I really believe this. It's really a game-to-game thing. And you know how football is. A lot of it's dependent on what you see during that week in practice versus the bigger picture, what you've seen through 5 games. That's the big hole in our game, right? So when we don't see that, we don't see practice. That's the thing I've always counseled, people I work with. Gosh, we have this commentary about what coaches should be doing in certain personnel situations when we don't see any of the practice. So as far as that goes, I don't know how Cunan's hitting it. I imagine he's hitting it fine, but that's going to dictate what a coach decides in those situations a lot of the time, what he sees that week in practice, again, versus what he's seen the whole season. But I don't know. I don't think we'll see Matt. I don't know if I want to see him change the way he does things a lot. I'm always about, consistency in that conversation. If I see a guy that's making rash changes in the way he approaches things, it kind of makes me wonder about his confidence and what he's doing. Now, sometimes some changes are necessary, but no, I don't see in terms of overall management, I don't know that it'll change a whole lot.
Sip, before we get your final thoughts on this one, some other just notes on some other games going on right now. The 11 a.m. window is on and popping, as they say. Michigan State has an early 7-0 lead on UCLA. Ohio State is up 3-0 on Illinois. Missouri has taken a touchdown lead on Alabama halfway through the first quarter. They lead at 7-0, but Alabama's on the doorstep there. There's a lot of really good games today. In addition to the Nebraska one, I know you're just such a good multitasker. What other game are you going to be kind of keeping an eye on later today? Is it the Indiana-Oregon one? Is that just the layup one for you?
Yeah, there's a lot, though. I'm really interested in about 5 of them. I'm watching Illinois, Ohio State as we speak here. Now, what's happened is good. The commentary from the Joel Klatt and the Saban, Herb Street, is they've caught up. I shouldn't say caught up. That sounds horrible, but they now recognize Ohio State's defense is the best unit in the country, and it's a joy to watch it. Frankly, they're so. My God, they're good. So I'm interested in that, and of course, I'm interested to see if Indiana can go press Oregon. They'll have to run it. They'll have to run the ball to do it. I admire Signetti because he's building that thing line first. He recognizes it to win big in this league. It's got to be a big boy conversation. You've got to be fortified across both lines. So I want to see that today. What's that look like? I don't think Indiana is where he wants it that way, but I think they're getting there. Yeah. The Missouri game is interesting because Missouri just runs the hell out of it. They're a run. Missouri's, our old friends from the Big 12 and the Big 8, the Big 6 are a run-oriented outfit now. Mm-hmm. So I'm interested in. There's just a ton. It's a big day. It is a really important day.
Well, it's a massive day, and it's even. The more fascinating conversation with that Missouri matchup anyway is the whole Bo Pribula thing. Where with Bo, there's a lot of Penn State fans that are asking the question of whether or not James Franklin identified the correct quarterback to keep and the other one to let go, right? Because Penn State is struggling immensely as they are. I just think that it is a really good day of college football, and that Indiana-Oregon matchup, you have 2 coaches that come from the Nick Saban coaching tree, but Nick Saban said earlier this week that they couldn't be different personality-wise, and so it is kind of just interesting that the brashness of a Kurt Signetti, but then the quiet assassin and confidence of a Dan Lanning going up against each other. And I think this afternoon is one of those days that we see just how good of a quarterback on the national level Dante Moore could be for Oregon.
Oh, yeah, I think you're right. That's a great quarterback matchup, by the way, Mendoza and Dante Moore. Mm-hmm. I think Dante Moore, I came out of the Oregon's win against Penn State thinking Dante Moore was the best quarterback in the country.
I think so, too.
That conversation's obviously evolves, but it's a week-to-week test for these guys. But his poise is magnificent, and he's very accurate, and he has that element that he can take off. Mm-hmm. He's a whole package. I think that his poise is the thing I emphasize the most, though. He's a cool customer. So there we go. He's like you. Cool.
I don't know about that. I guess I learned from the best, right? That's what you always claim. But either way,
they taught you well.
Well, either way, all right, Sip. Before we get you out of here, thoughts on the one? We already know you're picking Nebraska. Why does Nebraska get the win today against the Terps?
Overall, better team. I think it's a good question. I think that
it's a good question of why I ask you that Nebraska wins. That's a heck of a compliment.
No, I mean it's tough. It's tough to come up with one reason. I think. Yeah. I would say here's why I really believe it. I think what we saw defensively against Michigan State is critical. That they just need to bring that again, and that can set the tone in this game. And then I think also the other critical thing, Michigan State manned up. You played a lot of man. I think they surprised Nebraska a little bit last week. Dana Holgorsen won't be surprised this week. They'll be equipped. I think you'll see a little bit of a bounce back from the offense. Enough. Again, I don't think they're going to move up and down the field easily. 28-12 is what I'm thinking. I just think Nebraska right now, it's a lot of, complementary football. All three phases need to work together, and they're doing that much better now.
Make a prediction. What's Emmett Johnson's stat line look like today?
Good. I think it'll be good. 17 carries, 101 yards.
All right. Any touchdowns?
2 touchdowns.
Okay, 2 touchdowns. 17 carries, 101 for 2 scores for Emmett Johnson. All right, that's Steve Sipple. Sip, appreciate the time as always, my friend. Always a pleasure. And having a great time up in the Maryland press box, and safe travels back to Lincoln.
Thank you for including me on the show, and have a good rest of your show.
Thank you, Sip. There he is, Steve Sipple of Husker Online on 3, joining us from College Park, Maryland. All right, that is it for the first segment of the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. This segment sponsored by our friends at A1 Automotive. Always honest answers. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, and now 5110 State Hill Drive in South Lincoln. When we come back, Jay Foreman, the Husker Hall of Famer, joins me for the second segment of the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show as we dive into position groups specifically with Jay, and we continue to get you ready for the Huskers and the Terps coming up 2:30 kickoff on Big Ten Network. But for now, let's step aside. A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show rolls on from our 93.7 The Ticket studios at 1040 O Street here in just a few minutes. We'll be right back.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Don't miss Fall Discount Day. This Saturday, October 11th, for one day only, get 17% off regular priced items. That's right, 17% off. From the barn to the backyard, Baumgars has you covered for all your field, farm, and fall fix-ups. Some exclusions apply. See a store associate for details. Baumgars, what you need, when you need it.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in season? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit stonebrookexterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC, doing life together.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits.
Welcome back in. It is the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. This segment brought to you by our friends at Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits. Are you looking for the perfect sip in Lincoln? Head to Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits at 5040 North 27th Street, where walk-in humidor meets temperature-controlled wine cellar and shelves that are bursting with over 3,000 wines, 2,000 spirits, and 1,500 beers and seltzers. They are open daily. Make sure you stop in and elevate your next pour. All right, Nick Sainert here. Appreciate Steve Sipple for joining me last segment from College Park, Maryland. Here we are this time, joined in studio back at our 93.7 The Ticket headquarters, 1040 O Street. Jay Foreman joins me. Jay, what's up, my friend?
What's going on? We got 3 hours exactly.
There we go. 3 hours till Nebraska and Maryland kicks it off. All right, general overview of the matchup. I mean, what do you like? What bodes well for the Huskers today?
Well, I think, up to this point, Nebraska's strength on defense is potentially the kryptonite or a good strength to go against Maryland's strength in offense as far as their passing game against their freshman quarterback. So that gives you a distinct advantage, at least on paper and experience and what Nebraska's been able to do against the pass going into the game. And you feel you have a double advantage of the quarterback position because Dylan's a sophomore and Malik Washington's a freshman. So I think this game is going to really come down to, obviously, you can talk about the turnover. That's a given, right? But it's going to come down to who does the little things better. You have a team in Maryland up until last week had never trailed up until essentially the fourth quarter where they just got out of their sorts. It wasn't Washington didn't do anything special. They hit a couple big plays and kind of put together some junky drives, and Maryland just needed 2 first downs. They win the game. The one thing Maryland does well, at least against Washington, so that's comparable, is that they do pretty well on third down. And so that's where this game is going to come down to. Nebraska on third down. And I'm not talking about the 3rd and 2s where you you can lean for it. I'm talking about the ones where you got to make them.
Yeah.
Extend drives, and what defense does opposite against Maryland is going to pretty much make or break this game.
When you look at one area Nebraska, I mean, I'm really focused on is not only their ability to protect the quarterback, but also rush the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. Maryland does both well. They rush the quarterback very well, and then they also protect Malik Washington very well. They're top 5 in both categories.
Yeah, they got some. They interesting when they lost some players and lost quite a bit of players on offense and a couple players on defense. You would think like, okay, this is a year that you hope Mike Loxley has enough friends and family in the decision making rooms. Well, lo and behold, you got 2 defensive ends that are 2 best friends. They're true freshmen, and they do not play like it. And they got some size in the middle, and they're all athletic. They play like a cohesive unit. Athletic, physical, play with good energy, especially at home. And they're able to protect it. They got a big kind of mauler type offensive line. You're not going to see a bunch of fancy gadget plays, as far as in the running game. They're going to try to line up and just punch you dead in the face. They're going to try to lean on you, and they're going to expect their running back or running backs to, take what the defense gives you. And then if there's a chance to bust one, they'll bust one. I mean, it's not a home run type of running. It's like inside, outside zone. You get a couple little counters, some traps. I mean, nothing special, but when you got some big dudes coming at you, and if they're able to block our interior guys one-on-one and up to the linebackers, could both, for some trouble.
And once again, Nick Sainert alongside Jay Foreman with you here on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. This segment sponsored by our friends at Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits. 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln Hotline, the Starter Heyman text line are open for you guys, as well as the video stream on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Allo Cable Channel 961. All right, Jay, what do you think Nebraska's offense looks like today? Because we know that a lot of times they like to get the ball in the hands of their playmakers, and their playmakers on offense are, Jacory and Dankey, who didn't have a target last week, and Dylan Raiola as well. But Emmett Johnson has been very, very stable and consistent for Nebraska this season for the most part. What do you think in an environment to where there might be a little bit of rain? What do you think that Nebraska's offense is going to look like on that side of the ball? What are they going to try to do today against Maryland?
I just read your text message, just by the way, but I think they're going to try to establish the run. I think they need to.
Yeah.
The best way, there's 2 ways you slow down a really athletic and good pass rush. One, obviously run right at them or run different variety of runs to slow them down so they just can't pin their ears back and you're just in a drop back game, right?
Mm-hmm.
That really plays into their hands. Or you can shift in motion and all that. Now, depending on what Sipple says and who's in there and who's not, sometimes that can throw off the continuity of the offensive line. So the best thing Nebraska can do is establish a conventional run game, a timely run game as well, and keep them guessing. And then you'll be able to get it to your playmakers, whether it's Jacory Barney, whether it's Dane Key, Hunter. It could be a Lindenmeyer game where, they're coming in focusing on the 3 receivers or in Emmett. And then here's Lindenmeyer who's able to get back on track and have a big game. somebody's going to have to step up and play huge to take the bull by the horns. And really, offensively, I think my mindset would be, and what I'm assuming they would think, you get off the bus, you immediately pack your defense and offense, or your defense and special teams.
Mm-hmm.
That keeps the game, that keeps that pressure solely on Maryland. Then your offense can strategically play steady, first down, sustain drives, put points on the board, and literally just start tightening your grip on this game. It's a young team in Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
They have a freshman quarterback. He doesn't understand the emotions of college football yet. So the more that you can put on his plate besides playing quarterback, you know what I'm saying, throughout the game, and you do that by your offense, not necessarily your defense. Because in his mind, he's going to look out there and see a quarterback that he wants to potentially be, and he wants to match, play for play, throw for throw, point for point. Well, then that plays into Nebraska's hands if you're able to do that. But you have to do that by sustaining drives.
I'm really interested to see Nebraska defensively, if they can build off of last week, and in a specific area, how hard they hit the quarterback. You and I talked about it extensively on the postgame show after the win against Michigan State. Aiden Childs got his bell rung early in that game, and it bothered. You could tell that it stuck with him throughout the rest of the game, whether it was directly where he continued to get hit, or his anxiousness to get rid of the ball maybe sooner than what he needed to, his inaccuracy on some of the throws later in the game. Like, things like that can affect the matchup down the road that doesn't necessarily show up in the box score. And so I'm hoping to see, I think, from the defensive perspective, Nebraska potentially build off of that, and as a freshman quarterback on the other side, hit him hard.
Yeah, I mean, look, he hasn't been hit. He hasn't been touched by it. He's a big kid now. I mean, this is he's a different animal than Aiden Childs, right? This is a guy that's a true 5-star recruit. He's 6'4", 6'5", 225, 30 pounds. He can run. He can throw it, and he's a big target in there. And they've done a good job of essentially offensive line-wise, tight splits, using their big, off girth and offensive linemen, and kind of creating a nice little comfortable shell for him, half roll, and you do that by motioning and try to chip the end. I think if Nebraska, comes and plays with that type of energy, and wins that will battle across the lines, they'll eventually get to him. I think they should take a lot of confidence from him last week. I think you got Williams-Nwaneri, who I think athletically can play against scrambling quarterbacks and can play against kind of stationary quarterbacks. With Malik Washington isn't a statue back there, but he's not as elusive as the Michigan quarterback, so forth and so on. And then you saw Cam Linhart emerge, and you got some other guys in the middle. So I think this is another step in hopefully in the right direction of this defensive line or defensive front seven or whatever you want to call them, and this whole defense moving forward in the positive way, right? Every game you want to see them get better. Every game you want to see them validate the positives that they did the week before, and try to eliminate some of the things they need to work on a week in and week out basis. But another thing you have to do, I can tell you this right now, we got to tackle. We have to tackle in space, in short area spaces, and we have to be like we were last week. You have to be on it, on your pre-snap communication, your in-play communication, and your effort and rally to the ball. You have to have good angles when you chase the ball, right, to pursuit. And you gotta hit these guys, especially their slot receivers. They got 3 of them, and not 3 slot receivers, but 3 receivers that do major damage where they can really kill you run after the catch. Why is that important? You want to continue to, 1, do what you did last week. But number 2, the best way to stifle any momentum of a home team is not allowed the oohs and ahs after they catch it. Oh, he catches it. Oh, he breaks a tackle. Then you hear the uptick in the fans. You want to do that. You're like, oh, you want the kind of, I guess, the golf clap, real quiet, right? And so but you only do that by effort. You can't come in there and think it's going to be a one-man show and you're going to be, making solo tackles all game. That's not going to happen. And so when you take that mentality and understand you're going to play, this game for 60 minutes at a pace and a will that they are not able to match or not wanting to match, you've seen what the results could be. You stick in this game longer, you'll be fine. Even if you start a little slow, you have to be willing to stick to the process. And that's where Nebraska's at in the maturity-wise. They got to, kind of grow up from there.
It's interesting because, so you look at Malik Washington. This is a guy, highly touted recruit, top 50 player in the country, one of the top 5 quarterback in the country as well from Maryland. I think that when you look at Nebraska defensively, is there a position group that needs to play well and better than the other in this one, like specifically in this matchup against Maryland?
Linebackers have to be excellent. Here's why you have to be excellent. You're facing this is before your time.
Okay.
Back when brothers used to wear their hair like this.
Okay. That's fine. I never said anything about your hair.
But you did. But it's cool. Is that when we played the Baltimore Ravens back then, this is how they're built. Okay. This is Mike Locksley's
how Maryland's built.
They used to have an offensive line. You used to call them like the Soul Patrol. Okay. A bunch of brothers up there, and they were coming off that line. And I'm telling you, it was like Blackshear, Jonathan Ogden. And they were just trying to surge off the line.
Yeah.
It's solo blocking. The reason why the linebackers have to be really, really good, and it kind of ties into the defensive line, you have to be violent and heavy with your hands. You have to know exactly where you're going. You got to establish yourself, and then you got to really throw these guys off because they're big and make tackles in space. Then they're going to try to attack the middle of the field or the second level, right? Because they're going to use the running game. They'll run spacing routes if they have a linebacker out there in a slot or a nickel or whatever, and try to get a 5 or 6 yard run and get to third and manageable, 3rd and 2 and 3, and then lean on you. So you have to be excellent in your rally points and then also stopping any run after catch in the short areas, whether it's a tight end or a slot. That's why I think the second level has to be good. Obviously, you expect every game, I expect the defensive backs, the corners, and the safeties to play well and match up one-on-one. I think if the linebackers play well, it allows John Butler and the coaching staff to do things on the outside because they feel comfortable with the inside guys starting fast.
We got a text on the text line 464-5685. And it comes from Unmasked Texter. He says, well, we are doomed if it depends on our linebacker play. It's not good at all.
Dang, he been on the linebacker play since yesterday.
Is that right? Yeah. Well, here's what I would say.
Yeah, ask Austin.
There was a little, we started to see a little consistency from Vincent Shavers, and Javen Wright had himself a nice day last Saturday as well against Nebraska, especially against Michigan State. There was that one play where he shed 2 guys and was able to make the tackle in space. It hasn't been great, especially from, a guy you brought in who's had 100 tackles in all 3 years in Marquise Watson-Trent. It hasn't been great from him, but ultimately, This is a game where you can, if you're a guy like Vincent Shavers, especially, you can continue to build on maybe some of that consistency.
Yeah, I think they, had to step up, after that Michigan game and played well, and they played, I think that was best. That was Javen Wright's best game ever. Here at Nebraska. I don't know what he did in high school, but that was his most complete game from start to finish. And Shavers was close behind. But what this game will entail is more fundamentally based. And that's the big jump that they all need to take. But I think they have enough tools in the cabinet to really, I guess, if they're struggling somewhere, you can bring Dawson Merritt off and where he can really tackle well in space. He plays a little bit bigger than his slight frame, and he has the ability to close. And so if Maryland gets hot in a running game or some sort of slot or they're attacking Nebraska on the hashes, you can bring in him. Now with Watson-Trent, I think it's a little bit different because you have to, one of the tricky things is when you get a player and you bring him up from like a lower level or a different, division or type of football, you recruit him at what he's doing, and you got to make sure you marry your concept to that. So I think that's where I think they're working on, and that's where I think you'll see better production from him hopefully down the road, because listen, he has leadership skills. Number one, he has more experience than anybody, and you don't produce at the level that he produced at, no matter where it's at, and not be a good football player. So I think it's just a work in progress.
You called it last week. Dawson Merritt, his role continues to expand for Nebraska, and then Matt Rule was talking about it this week as well. They like what they see out of Dawson, and he's certainly not going to be a guy that redshirts this year.
Past that, right?
Yeah. You're past. I think
he played in every game so far.
Has he played in each one? Okay, I didn't know if he saw time in like Akron and those games as well. But nonetheless, the point still stands. His role is going to continue to expand.
Yeah, look, he was a big flip for Nebraska. Obviously was at Alabama recruit or a commit, and now obviously Nebraska. And I think You know, he was a little banged up in the spring. Probably allowed him to kind of get his head wrapped around the scheme, you know, and then that's where, and he knows football, you know, growing up in training camp, and athletically, the ability to close, the ability to cover. I think he plays with really good, you know, he's a waist bender or a knee bender, and so that means he can be explosive and play bigger than what his weight is right now. And he has a nose for the football. And, you know, I think it's good. You know, they're bringing him along at a really good pace, and he's actually answering the bell. The more that they put on his plate, the more that he eats and the more that he produces. But what that also does is that makes Shavers, that makes Javen Wright, it makes Watson Trent always on point. No, we're not bringing him in to replace you, but it's also letting you know this young dude can play. So now you need to play. And it's not just on Saturdays, it's every single day. And that's where I think is going to be good, because it's a win-win. You're going to get the best out of those dudes, or should, and you get the best out of him because he's coming. And so, you know, I like it. I like it for Nebraska's second level. They'll continue to get better.
All right. As we get ready to go to break here, Jay, we do it each week. Give us a key player on the offensive side of the ball first. Who needs to have a good day today, in addition to Dylan, obviously, that if Nebraska wants to get the job done?
Well, that's a good one. I think it's going to be Dane Key.
Okay.
I think this is a game that he has to. Number one, he only had like one. I mean, you could say technically 2 targets, but it wasn't even close to.
Did he even get targeted last week?
He did, but it was like it was not. Yeah. It was in theory.
Yeah.
So number one is big for him because Maryland's going to lock up man to man. So it's going to be 50-50 balls. I think he's a guy that you should feel very comfortable that he'll, you know, give him a chance. He's going to come down with the ball. I think he's going to be extremely motivated, and I think once he gets going, I think that actually like gives everybody a sigh of relief and allows the offense to turn up a little bit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
To you know, so I think he can stir the pot. You got to give him a chance, give him the spoon to stir the pot. So I think Dane Key's my key on offense. Do you want my key on defense?
Sure. Go ahead.
I'm gonna do. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to do my man Davis on our defensive line.
Keona Davis.
Yeah. It's time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, couldn't you say that about
it's time.
Couldn't you say that also about, I mean, like RVP too, like Art Riley Van Pop, like you know, one of those guys.
One of those. Why is it a time for them? Because we did Judy, we did you know, Cam Lenhart the week before. They've done it, right?
Yeah.
And then obviously Newary, he's done it, right? Across the defensive line. And Judy's been real consistent the last 3 or 4 weeks now. So you start to see it, you know.
Forced a fumble against Michigan.
Forced a fumble, got a sack last week, starting to make plays in the run game. Okay, so he's answered the bell. Okay, for this really to go, Keona Davis, you know, they got you back out of the portal.
Yeah.
Van Poppel, you got all the stuff. Now, okay, now it's time now for you to start doing it. And it's not calling you out. It's because, number one, it's for you.
Yeah.
Right? And the team, and it's a great opportunity because everybody that we're talked about before, that's who they're going to focus on. So you're going to get a lot of favorable matchups one-on-one, and you got to win those.
There you go, Jay. What's the score prediction for you?
I'm going to go 31-17.
Okay.
That's just the first thing that came off my mind.
All
came out of my mind. 31-17.
I'm going to go.
Actually, I'm going to take that back. 31-20.
31-20. I'm going to go something similar. I'm thinking it's I feel like it's a 24-17, 24-14 type of game. Nebraska wins. I think the defense does take another step in the right direction, though. We'll see about the whole turnovers thing and stuff like that. I mean,
I got a hot take.
Those 2 INTs last week, I mean, anybody could have caught them, right? So, like, let's see.
Anybody?
Not anybody. I could have caught him. Don't call me stone hands over here. Anyway, now I don't know if that guy behind us could have, but either way. Anyway, when you look at Nebraska, see if they can. Right now they're +1 in the scope of it all for the season on turnover margin. Continue to improve that over the last 3 years of Matt Rule. Right, like they were -17, then it was -2 last year. Right now +1. Continue that, and that you're talking big picture progress. Those are things you can point to. What's your hot take?
3 picks today.
Three
turnovers.
Okay, 3 turnovers.
The sidewinder release of a big quarterback, and if you get your hands up, a lot of tip drill.
Okay.
And not the one that I like.
Yeah, I know, not the song.
I
know about it.
There we go.
That's what I was saying.
Hey, let's make it rain.
All right, there it is. Hot take from Jay. We hit on the hot take last week on the special teams play.
Listen, You've seen me in action with Steve. I'm telling you.
Okay, we're done here. We're done. All right, let's get out of here. This segment brought to you by Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits. He's Jay Foreman, Nick Sainer. We pass it off. Terrell and Todd Euler coming up next on the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. But we both predict Huskers get the dub today. We'll see if it plays out. 2:30 kickoff. We'll be right back on the ticket.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in season? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates, financing, savings, and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
Nebraska fans, it might be a road game today, but the party is still on in downtown Lincoln. Big Ten Sports Bar is your ultimate spot to catch Nebraska football and volleyball, with every game on, every screen, all day long. Doors open bright and early at 9 a.m. Grab breakfast, stay for the game, and keep the night going with full kitchen open until midnight. Big Ten Sports Bar, downtown Lincoln's home for Nebraska sports, bands, good food, and drinks.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription, or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. When the clock strikes zero after every Nebraska football game, there's only one place to go for instant coverage. Tune in for the Husker After Party Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket for each game, win or lose. Call in with all your takes or text the show at 464-5685 and hear quotes from the players and coaches too. It's the Husker After Party postgame show, sponsored by Anderson Ford and Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th, when every red tag machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you by the Kindler Hotel.
All right, welcome back to 93.7 The Ticket Pregame Tailgate by Automotive. It is I, the black shirt, and I'm with
Todd Bueller. Yeah.
He's in the house. All right, this segment is by Kindler Hotel. Book your stay at the Kindler Hotel in one of their 45 well-appointed guest rooms that provides luxury in the heart of downtown Lincoln. Enjoy a drink at the Botanos Lounge while you are here and take in the outdoor patio. Book your stay at thekindlerhotel.com. Euler.
What up?
It's game day.
Game day. Let's go
Game
Huskers.
Day. Yeah. A lot of things going on right now in college football. I was at home checking out some of the games, man. I didn't want to get up. I kind of forgot what time we went on, but Ohio State, they're 14 to, I think it's 10-0.
10-0, yeah.
10-0 right there in that game. I'm waiting for the Indiana game later on, but we got Husker football to talk about, man. Alabama's 14-7, so you know we're missing some great games. But
how about
Husker Day?
How about just real quick, Pitt beating Florida State right now, 14-7 as well. So.
Well, maybe Florida State was kind of not a good team.
Yeah, we'll see.
All right. Now, Maryland and Nebraska today, man. A lot of things going on. We still have some things we have to fix offensively, defensively. I think special teams is the main reason we are clicking right now. Just because of the return team and blocks, Eckler has turned this into a wild machine that I think one of these games we're going to get a true touchdown back from punt return.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's going to be obviously that's been the strength of our team. If you want to talk about offense, defense, special teams, definitely, doing better in special teams than we are on I think defense is playing better than the offense has. So I think, first things first, we need to see this offensive line take a step forward and get better, right? Been sacked 12 times in Big Ten play. Not good. Maryland's got 19 sacks on the year. So we've got to, and I said this earlier on my show, Terrell, this offensive line hasn't been playing together for long, right? Like, I think some of that cohesiveness, some of that, working with each other, hopefully, they learned from last week. I thought they looked a little bit better last week than they did against Michigan. Not a lot, but I think if they can learn from that, that's going to be a big key going, not just in today's game, but going forward, finishing out the season with Big Ten play, is can our offensive line continue to get better each week and work together as a unit instead of, I thought last week, a lot of missed, assignments on blitz schemes that Michigan State threw at us that caused the 5 sacks. So I'm really looking at that, that part of the game today. Can that offensive line take a step forward? I don't expect them to be perfect. Nobody's perfect, but I think they hopefully are learning from the mistakes of the past, right? And getting better.
All right, one of the main things that's going to happen today is probably going to be the weather in College Park. It's like 63 degrees right now. It's going to be occasional rain and drizzle, breezy throughout the game. We just got finished with a breezy game, but now we have to do a breezy and a rain game. Can the Huskers get a running game started today? I think that's one of the main things we need to do today as a team is get Emmett started early. Let's pave the way for these guys. Right now, I think we're a little bit 65-35 passing a lot. So, I think Emmett needs to get involved more in this offense. I think we need to get the tight end more involved. I know a lot. Lindemeyer has at least 17, 18 catches last I've seen. Ja'Cory Barney, I call him lights out. The new playmaker of college football for me. I'm looking forward to him having a great game. Defensive-wise, I think we got some passers on our hand. I think this is going to test these guys and see have we been in the right spot all year. I've said over and over that I don't think we played a true passing team, and this is going to be our first real test right here when it comes to throwing the ball down the field. They got a great tight end, three great wide receivers that can really stretch the field. You got a young quarterback who's not looking to run the ball, but more like just dazzle you on with his feet back there till he finds somebody to get open.
Yeah, I think obviously this will be the first real passing team we've faced, right? I think it's going to test out that number one pass defense, right? And are they going to step up and play like the number one team in the country in pass defense, or are they going to crumble, right? So they're going to get tested all day long. Weather probably is in our favor because we probably can run the ball better than they can. I don't think they run the ball very often. I think their leading rusher has 208 yards rushing, right? So in 5 games, that's not a lot. It's averaging 40 yards a game. So I think if we're going to get tested, depending on the weather, like you said, windy, raining, that's going to potentially favor us, especially, if we can stay on top of, being the best special teams unit that we've been in all the games, I think. So, we need to establish a run, like you said, though, and especially if the weather does get bad, we're going to have to pound that rock. And I look forward to and I think Emmett has that ability to take it to the house anytime. And, he just needs some seams. He just hasn't had a lot of seams. When he got a seam last week, boom, gone. You know what I mean? Kid can play. Just haven't seen a lot of room to run. And once again, I think that goes to the lack of playing experience together of that offensive line. So hopefully we see that get better and better as this season progresses. So.
All right. What are some of your keys to the game when you talk about offense? What I think they need to protect Dylan Raiola. Dylan Raiola, get the ball out quick. Establish a running game. Make it more than just about Ja'Cory Barney. Make it about the other playmakers. Dane Key needs to step it up. Isaiah Hunter, he had a great game last week. He was quiet for a little while. I think guys like Mose need to step it up. I think these, just other guys need to factor in to make this just more than just about 2 or 3 guys on this team. When you talk about O-line, switching the other guy out taking Pahaskis out for Lenhart. Gatula, yeah. Gatula. That was I don't know how that went yet, but we're going to see something different today when we see a different kind of blitz or packages from Maryland, who leads the Big Ten with 19 sacks this season, but no sacks last week. So, they're going to be itching to get a sack this week. So, I think these guys are going to go be in. I think it's actually going to be a great game. I think it's going to be better than what the sports bettors think it is. I think it's going to be better than what every other analyst has said it is. I still think Maryland holds the key to the game until Nebraska shows that they can go and dominate a team throughout the whole fourth quarters, especially in Big Ten play.
Yeah, I think the key to this game for me, number one, is obviously protecting Dylan. That's number one. I think number two is going to be the turnover, right? Like, with the weather conditions, who gives up the ball more times? Hopefully we don't give it up any, and we get a couple turnovers. That could be the key. And then I think number three is going to be special teams, right? Can we get that Ja'Cory Barney touchdown? Run that, can we, last week block a punt? Can we, can we get a fake punt that actually works? I just watched somebody, Pittsburgh, maybe, no, UCLA. I saw UCLA do a fake punt and got it. It was 4th and 2, and they did a run and ended up with 21 yards. So I think special teams. So number one, protect Dylan, get the ball out. Number two, turnovers. And number three, just being the most physical team. It's obviously our first real road test, right? Arrowhead was a home game. So I think we can, we're going to find out what we're really made of, mentally, being on the road. I know they went out a little early and that kind of stuff, but we'll see.
Ooh. All right, man. I was just checking on some scores. UCLA 24, Michigan State 7,
Yeah.
SMU 10, Stanford 0. Man, I didn't know that UCLA kind of Pitt is 14, Florida State 7, Alabama 17-7 over Missouri, Ohio State 10-0 over Illinois. Later on today, man, we got Oregon and Oregon and Indiana, man. Who you got on that one?
I'm gonna take Oregon. Indiana, I don't think's really been tested. Obviously, they blew out Illinois, who's supposed to be somewhat pretty good, but Ohio State's got them down 10-0. So Oregon's good. I think they're good in all facets of the game, and so I'm taking Oregon in that one. There's some great games today.
All right, Euler. Matt Rudem left Thursday, man. Usually when Nebraska plays, we played Washington before, we played Oregon, we played all these teams. Well, we could do it in one day. Now, you got the cases of teams have to go Whale on one side, Whale on the other side of the, East Coast, West Coast trip, West Coast, East Coast trip. Now, I don't have a problem with the kids leaving early, but on game day, it makes it so long when you have to sit in a hotel room all day just to wait to 2:30. I mean, I'm a guy who's probably usually up around 6:37 on game day, ready to play.
Yeah, I think that once again, I think if it would have been a late game, they probably don't go on Thursday, right?
Yeah.
Since it was a 2:30 game, let's get in, let's get settled, let's have a practice. Let's have a practice on Friday, walk through that kind of stuff, and get acclimated and get locked in. So I kind of like it that they're, hey, let's take just a little bit of extra time so we don't feel rushed. We always played at noon. It didn't seem like so. Being up at 6 we were pretty mandatory to be up at 6:30 to play a noon game. So. With these 2:30s and the, games, I think, being there early, we'll see if it, we'll see how we come out, right? Like, we'll see how that works for them. So it'll be interesting to see for sure what do you do with all that time with the entire team, right? Like,
I don't know. I'll be playing PlayStation, you know me.
Right. I mean,
I try to keep anything to play. That's too much time for me.
That's a lot of time.
I like it the old way Coach Osborne used to do it. We leave on a Friday. I think not saying you're overstaying your welcome, but you have to get your guys used to it. I guess it's the new age of college football where they can leave on a Thursday and then come back on a Saturday night.
Yeah. So we'll see. I will see if it makes a difference. Obviously, we come out and put the hammer down, then awesome. And maybe that was the right thing to do. If we come out and these guys are, slow starting, maybe let's not do that again, right? So I guess you don't know until you try. right?
All right, when you look at this game today, who's this game bigger for? Is it bigger for Maryland or is it bigger for Nebraska? Maryland, who's a surprise team, lost their locker room last year. Mike Lockley is the head coach. Had a 13-0 lead last week. Ended up losing 27-20, something like 24-20.
24-20, yeah.
Yeah, and on the crisp was this would have been a 5-0 team versus a 4-1 Nebraska. Who is this game most important to today, you think?
Well, I think obviously for Matt Rule in Nebraska, this is a must-win game, right? With what he's trying to rebuild here, which we haven't had in a lot of years. Maryland's never really had that, right? Like, so I think it's bigger for us. And I'm not just saying that because I'm a Husker. It's a big game for us. It's big for Maryland too, but at the end of the day, they're probably not going to, freak out about being 4-2 and losing to Nebraska and Washington as much as we will, having 2 losses at this point in the season, right? So I think it's a big game for every game from here on out is a big game when you start Big Ten play. They're going to be hard. They're going to be, one in the trenches, and we've got to go out and be more physical than Maryland to win this game. I mean, I said this, last week after we did come back and beat Michigan. Like, we had a 14-point lead. They had a 13-point lead. We won. We got behind and came back and won. They got behind and didn't win, right? So, some of that stuff starts sitting in. Will that carry over to Maryland this week? With like, man, we had these guys beat last, we just can't finish, and that's kind of what happened to them last year. They kind of fell apart, right? So we need to go out and just from the get-go be physical and take it at them, and don't let them get a lead on us. Let's go out and just kind of take over where Washington left off, right? So, and if we can do that, we're going to be fine. But I think it's a bigger game for Nebraska, 100%.
All right, Eula, give me your keys to the game and your final prediction for the game today.
All right, so once again, keys, got to protect Dylan, got to have a rushing game, got to win the takeover battle or turnover battle. My prediction, I do think we can go out and we can establish a run. We can protect Dylan a little bit better than we have. I know we're going against a team that has got 19 sacks, but they haven't really played anybody that great. So I'm picking Nebraska 31-17. I think, they're going to throw the ball. We got to just eat time off the clock and take what they give us and score 31 and give up 17. And, we fly home happy. So that's my prediction.
My keys for the game, protect Dylan. Let Emmett run wild. Let Emmett run wild and get more guys the ball. I'm talking about more than just Ja'Cory Barney, Emmett Smith, Emmett Johnson. Get Ja'Cory Barney, all the guys, Dan Key, Nazir Hunter, all the guys, the young guys, get them in there. Mosaic. Let's see what we can do. Special teams. Let's run back a punt return.
Yeah.
Even on kickoff. Let's try to run one back today. Let's silence the home crowd. I don't know how many people from Nebraska will be in attendance today, but go ahead and go out there early, play great football on offense, play great special teams, shut the crowd up, and on defense, play lights out. This team is going to try to do what y'all do best. They're going to try to pass. You got to try to stop the pass. So Nebraska defense is in a key battle today with their first real passing test. I think we'll come out on the end part of that. Sacks on the defense. I'm looking for William Neoli to keep his trend going, keep his stuff building his portfolio up so he could be a better player next year. I think when you look at the other guys, Cam Linhart, who's been getting a lot of pressure, even who's the nose guard, Elijah Judy, he has 2 sacks on the year, got his first sack of the year a couple of weeks ago. Javen Wright, keep doing the things he's doing. He's the enforcer on this defense. I think he's one of the main reasons, leading tackle on the team. 10 tackles last week. I think he had 10 tackles the week before that, the Michigan game. So keep doing what he's doing. The boys in the back, Marquise, what's the other one? I'm trying to think of his name. The safety, who got 2 interceptions last week. But never mind.
Deshaun.
Yeah, Deshaun Singer, the whole defensive back crew. Just go out there, play your game, and hopefully Nebraska can come on top. I got a different score than everybody. They're going to be mad at me because I think Maryland, 24-14, Nebraska. Maryland.
You got Maryland winning?
Yeah.
Or you got Nebraska winning?
I'm going with Maryland.
24-14. All right.
24-14.
I don't think they can score 24
on the road.
points
On the road Blues.
All right. Well, we'll see.
All right.
I hope you're wrong. So
I'm not right all the time. That's why when we pick these games on the weekend, I'm not in control full time. I'm trying to win my way back into first place. I think the text line is winning. Bach is in third. I am in second place. So I picked some games that's really gonna turn some heads this week. All right, back to some scores. Alabama 17, Missouri 7, UCLA 24, Michigan State 7, Pitt, Florida State 14-14, Ohio State, Illinois 13-0. Central Florida, Scott is getting spanked by Cincinnati, 17-0. SMU 10, Stanford 0, Houston 24, Oklahoma State 10. Louisiana Raging Cajuns 13, and James Madison 7. All right, man, we're gonna get out of here, man. We're gonna get who's up next. Austin and AD are coming up next
All
here.
right.
We thank y'all for listening to us for the Automotive A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show.
Go Big Red.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Don't miss Fall Discount Day this Saturday, October 11th, for one day only. Get 17% off regular priced items. That's right, 17% off. From the barn to the backyard, Baumgars has you covered for all your field, farm, and fall fix-ups. Some exclusions apply. See a store associate for details. Baumgars, what you need when you need it.
Hey guys, it's Adam Carricker here. As a former Husker and NFL player, I'm a health nut. Hydration and recovery starts at home. That's why I teamed up with Culligan of Lincoln. Soft water means better showers, cleaner dishes, and it protects my water heater and appliances. Their high-efficiency softener cuts salt and water usage. For drinking, I added a Culligan reverse osmosis. Bottled quality water right at my tap. Great taste, and it's certified to reduce tough contaminants like lead and PFAs. Right now, get up to $300 off a whole home system or just $9.95 per month for your first 3 months. Schedule your free water test at CulliganHuskers.com. That's CulliganHuskers.com. Culligan of Lincoln, water you love. Go Big Red.
Limited time offer. Participating dealers. Restrictions may apply. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th, when every red tagged machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Hay harvest is a race against time. Order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower to harvest your hay quickly and efficiently while promoting quick dry down for quality hay. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location for full details on a new self-propelled windrower and experience the Landmark difference.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Husker fans know when you work together, great things happen. At Cornhusker Bank, they're more than your financial partner. With 5 locations in Lincoln and 1 in Omaha, they're your neighbors, your teammates, and your biggest fans. Whether you're saving for your first home, planning your future, or growing your business, they're right here in Nebraska to help you move forward together. Visit cornhusker.bank to learn more. Cornhusker Bank, member FDIC. Doing life together.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates,
financing,
savings, and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by Elway Power Sports of Lincoln.
Folks, welcome back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, Maryland. Terrapins. It's a turtle. It's a turtle. Am I right on that, Austin? It's a turtle.
You're right about that, AD.
I've actually
Is it terrapins or terpins?
Terpins or terrapins?
Terrapins.
I think it's terpins. I've actually touched that terpin at that place
Oh, yeah?
before. Yeah, man. They got a cool little state. It's going to be interesting to see. Heard Terrell talking about it too just earlier, just a few minutes ago. Not sure how many. I'm curious to how many people will be there. What's your thoughts on it?
I really don't know what to say. I feel like with the, weather conditions that it should be, Marylanders should be somewhat used to it.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Maryland fans have also seen this song and dance before, where their team will go undefeated in the non-conference. They'll be good in August. They'll be good in September. October will start to show some cracks. And then by the time they get to November, it's maybe free fall isn't the right word, but it seems like things are coming apart at the seams a little bit for Coach Lockley and his Terps. So I wonder just what the buzz and what the enthusiasm is for Maryland. I mean, they should have a relatively exciting team. Again, 19 sacks before that number thrown out quite a bit. Malik Washington is top 5 in passing yards in the first 5 starts for a freshman going back the last handful of years. We know they have skill position guys. It seems like there's a lot of local ties to their roster as well. So there's really no reason for Maryland fans not to be out there. But I wouldn't blame them if they're like, okay, yeah, we've seen this before. I've been here. I bought into the hype. To me, it just feels like Maryland fans are waiting for that 8-4, 9-3 breakthrough that they've been on the cusp of for like 4 or 5 years in a row, but never gotten.
You know, it's Maryland's a team that, like you said, they're fans in major cities like that. When your team has not been consistently well, when there's many other things to do in the DC area, you look at UCLA, USC, some of those bigger spots in the United States, those bigger population base. They have other things they can do. You know, even Colorado for all the years, prior to Dion. I mean, literally, they had conversations about shutting the football program down altogether. Now, by no means,
we all would have been better off.
By no means am I comparing Maryland to that, but there's so many things to do. And to your point, it's almost like they're waiting for them to see. Well, they've seen hints of it just even last week. You know, they're up 20 points. I think it was homecoming for them as well, and they drop, and lose a 20-point lead and end up losing that game. However, though, that is the thing that concerns me the most, Austin, with this Maryland team, and I'm hoping I'm wrong. That this team is going to come fired up. They have a very bad taste in their mouth. They realize, look, we let first of all, we let ourselves down.
Right.
The fans, that's another thing. Obviously, they have their place, but to have a 20-point lead is hard to stomach. 20-point lead in any sport, and to give it up is hard to stomach, particular though in football, to where you're at, you're up and you lose that game. So it's going to be interesting to see how many people are there. I've got some text messages from buddies I went to college with that are actually going to go to that game. Unfortunately, both of those guys are both Maryland grads, undergrad, but they're both lawyers. So they went to undergrad at Maryland, and they went to grad school here at UNL Law School. So I'll curious to see what they're saying, what the car looks like.
It's probably tough for Maryland to stomach. You know what's hard for me to stomach is power sports. I don't do well with it. But if you do well with power sports and you're interested in investing in something like a jet ski or a four-wheeler, all sorts of great stuff, hit up our friends at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln. It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. They stock top models from Can-Am, Kawasaki, Honda, Polaris, CF Moto, Suzuki, Yamaha, Indian Motorcycle, Sea-Doo, and Triton trailers. Stop by their 27th and I-80 location today. To that point, AD, it's going to be important for Nebraska to get off to a fast start and make Maryland feel like, man, the 6 days that we had to prepare after that tough loss weren't enough. We didn't fix the issues. Couple stats from the Maryland game notes here. Maryland has allowed just 10 total points in the first half all season long. Think about that. 10 points, an average of 2 points per opponent in the first half all season long. And Maryland is one of 4 Big Ten teams, along with Nebraska and then Oregon and Minnesota, to not allow a score on its opening possession all year long. We saw the beauty of the fast start for Nebraska last week. Obviously, the hope for Husker fans and the team is that they're able to continue it. I said last week for Washington, the key for long cross-country travel is probably the more talented team going in as the road favorite was to get off to a fast start. They didn't do it. Seems to me to be of utmost importance for Nebraska to learn its lessons from last week, to say, yeah, that was huge. We got to come out with that same energy and that same fire on the road, and then find a way to avoid the lull, avoid the 40 minutes of letdown that was sandwiched between the 10 minutes of great football on either end.
Austin, I could agree with you more. The getting out to the fast start is going to be crucial for Nebraska, because I think if you can do that, you can squelch, I'm not saying all of the confidence for Maryland, but you can if you can punch them in the mouth early, keep them dizzy for the entire game, and then put them out.
Yeah,
I think the longer that we say this a lot, the longer they play with their food, the more they're going to that this game will be more interesting than it should be. And I'm more concerned, be honest with you, with Maryland than I was Michigan State. I really am. I'm more concerned with Maryland than I am with Michigan State. Again, I just think after that 20-point, they're just going to come in here ready to play at their, like I said, back at home. So Nebraska's going to have to come out early. They're going to have to strike often. And think about it, Austin, play disciplined football. And I know we sound like a broke record, but again, and in particular, me and Nick were talking about, when Raph joins us next segment, we're talking about this as well. It's going to be crucial for both tackles, Katula, as well as Pritchett, and all the guys in the middle as well. You know what I'm saying? Evans and Rocco and the rest of them. They're going to have to give Dylan time. He's been sacked 15 times this year in 5 games. That's
12 in the last 2.
Exactly. 5 last week, 7 against for half a football field against Michigan. That just simply can't happen. And I'll tell you what, Maryland has some very good interior linemen that will cause us problems if we're not careful. And so getting off to the fast start is going to be crucial for Nebraska, man, and to play disciplined football. Those 2 bookends they got, I forget the last one's name. It's Sidney Stewart. He's got 4.5 sacks on the year so far. And Zaire Mathis, he has 3.5 sacks so far on the year. So their front guys, man, are going to impose some issues. Again, it's going to be crucial. Nebraska, to your point, it's going to get after fast start offensively. It's going to start in the interior line.
Dana Holgerson was asked about the sacks, what's on the offensive line, and he went on, a little bit of a diatribe about it and said that last week against Michigan State, his answer for pressure was the screen game. Do you think that's a viable option for Nebraska again today, like it was last week?
Austin, it's a good question, but I think each game brings its own different nuances.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this is going to sound cliche-ish, but you take what the defense gives you.
Right.
If it's a screen game, screen the hell out of it. If it's the inside routes, run the inside routes. It's the digs, run those. And if the run game is open, keep doing it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Don't get away from the bread and butter. You don't have to get all exotic. And I know Hogan's just not that type of OC anyway. But yeah, take what the defense gives you. If the flats are the things they're giving us, flat it all day then.
I'm just curious to see what the game script looks like for Nebraska, because AD, the one thing that we haven't seen really in Nebraska in a really long time is a track meet between 2 teams.
True.
We've seen teams run it up on Nebraska. We've seen Nebraska run it up on other teams.
Mm-hmm.
The closest thing I think you can consider to being a track meet, if you will, was last year's Nebraska-Wisconsin game.
Yeah.
But even that was 44-25.
Right.
I could see this being a game where, maybe both teams do take the rein into effect. They want to just ground and pound, run, pass, punt, run, pass, punt in the traditional Big Ten style. I could also see these teams saying, no, we're not going to be scared. We trust our playmakers. We trust our quarterbacks. And I think both these offenses have enough weapons on them that we could get a game in the mid-30s both ways. We haven't seen Nebraska in one of those yet. I think the defense is solid enough for Nebraska to not let it happen. But I think Malik Washington's a baller. Now, I think he does present some problems for Nebraska.
Yes,
it's going to be really interesting to see how he responds to that moment, because you think about when you allow a 17-point or 20-point comeback the way that Maryland did last week, the defense couldn't get one stop. Well, the offense couldn't get 2 more first downs to ice that game. So the conversation from the outside when a comeback happens is, how did the defense falter like that? But if I'm Malik Washington, I'm taking that as, I need one drive. If I put together one better drive, maybe I help my team win that game. I think that's going to be a motivated young man, and I expect him to have a pretty big game today.
Well, he leads most touchdowns in the P4 as a true freshman. He's got 12 total, 1,200 yards passing on the season, 9 touchdowns, 2 INTs. So his TD to interception ratio is very good through 5 games. And I'm like you, man. I was telling Swim this, Austin, that you haven't heard a lot about Malik as much as you did the Underwood and Aiden Childs. This dude is the truth, man. This is the 3rd week in a row we're going to go against a big quarterback. He's 6'3", 225 pounds.
As a freshman.
As a freshman. And that's why I was asking, what are they feeding these dudes, man? The pass
bunch of crabs.
With an exception of Aiden Childs, who obviously was a transfer from Oregon State. He was there in his previous stop with Coach Smith, Michigan State's head coach now. But all 3 of these guys are big, durable quarterbacks that can hurt you with their feet. So again, you know what, Austin, when we come back, we'll talk about the same rules that we had against Aiden Childs last week is going to apply to Malik as well this week, man, because Malik gives plays a lot of oxygen.
Yeah.
We got to cut off that breathing chain, man. Cut it off.
Who do you think is most responsible for that in terms of the game plan for Nebraska? Is that a linebacker spy issue? Is that a defensive line contain issue? Is that a secondary holding up issue? How does that work together, containing a mobile quarterback like this, from what you've seen and how Nebraska wants to play?
Is going to take every one of the ones you just mentioned, because if one of them falters, we're going to pay the price. Not saying that to be perfect, but it can't be absolute breakdowns, because a quarterback like him, if you break down interior wise, well, the question's obvious. Then your backers are having to come off, covering tight ends and backs out the backfield. Your secondary's got to run 10 to 8 yards to even tackle the guy. By that time, he's quick enough and he's fast enough. By that time, who knows where he's going to be on the field. So it's going to take a collective effort by all 3 of those, the backers, interior linemen, and the secondary to keep this guy contained. But I will say this, it starts with pressure. Discipline pressure.
Yeah.
Pressure is great, but if it's undisciplined, you're in trouble.
What's the point?
It's exactly. I always say like the analogy like this, Austin. A fire in a fireplace that's contained and controlled, man, it's a beautiful thing. Once it gets out, all hell breaks loose.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we have to keep that pressure contained and disciplined to make life just crazy for him in the backfield.
Big thanks to our friends at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln as well for sponsoring this segment of the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. AD, I'm going to be curious to watch this as well, because if you look at just the main skill guys for Maryland, Malik Washington from Maryland, DeJuan Williams, starting running back from Maryland, Jalil Farouk did not start his career at Maryland. Where did he go to high school? In Maryland. Shalik Knotts, North Carolina, Octavian Smith, Maryland, wide receiver Caleb Webb down from Georgia, and even across the line, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania. You have a guy from Tennessee, but who ended up at IMG Academy in high school. And then how about a Jamaican right tackle in Alan Heron?
Yeah,
the skill core, I think, for Maryland is not going to be deterred by any weather.
No.
You know, these are guys that have grown up in that weather, that have grown up and playing with it. Let me just say, what a fantastic football weekend in Lincoln. What a shame that this game is being played on the East Coast. This is football weather. It's warm enough. We get that little crisp fall aspect to it. This is incredible football weather. I'm going to be really curious to see how the young quarterback, but really the experienced upperclassmen, I think, for Maryland respond to that comeback, respond to the weather, because it's a big year for them in that program. Mike Locksley last year, I mean, he said it at Big Ten Media Days, felt like he lost the locker room a little. And I wonder
I was surprised at that statement.
Okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So just really quickly then, I wonder if that's part of the reason for the heavy focus in Maryland and the surrounding areas, right? We know there's a lot of talent in D.C., Virginia, the Carolinas, and some sneaky under the radar talent in Pennsylvania and further north and east. But I do wonder if, especially on the offensive side of the ball, that's where Mike Locksley felt like his message wasn't getting received or wasn't being heard the same way. So he said, you know what? I'm going to bring back some local kids. Maybe it does mean more to them. Maybe they will get a chance to play in front of their families. They got older for the most part in the transfer portal, which most teams do. But I wonder if this is just a coincidence or if that was something targeted by Mike Locksley that said, hey, we're having issues at the end of the year. Let's go get some Maryland guys that know the state, that know the weather. And yeah, it's never easy in Big Ten football, but just might fit a little bit better.
You know, Austin, I think that's a great observation in that when Locksley made that statement, I was very surprised. He said that was at Big Ten Media Days, I believe, is when he made that statement. But he's, you know, at the same time, you can't fault the guy for just telling what was on his heart.
Right.
He's probably sure it didn't sound good to the brass there at Maryland, but he's like, you know, we got a coach that's just being very transparent. And as a result, here they are sitting at 4-1 and could very easily be at 5-0 coming in this juncture, which they're not. The reality is they aren't. But I think bringing in some older guys, some local roots as well. Those guys have some ownership. They have some convictions. Like, man, this is home, and we don't be getting blown out at the crib. You know what I'm saying, in front of our own people. So, and I thought that was a good move on his part, Austin. Like I said, whether that was strategic and, you know, looking at what Mike Locksley has done in the past, you know, it was obviously at Alabama, you know, set under Saban for a number of years. The dude knows what he's doing, man. And I'm really pulling for Locksley to do well there at Maryland, because Maryland, as you know, over the past 15 years have just been a train wreck, up and down, up and down. They fired, I forget the coach's name that came in before the one that was fired. It's all these, well, Nebraska's not much different as far as it goes firings, but Locksley to see some longevity and some success, except today.
Absolutely, yes. Today notwithstanding,
nope.
Absolutely.
I hope we beat the brakes off of them.
And that trend continues on the defensive side of the ball as well, where you got guys from New York, West Virginia, Pennsylvania, Virginia, Maryland, Florida, and Maryland as the projected starters on defense for Mike Locksley. AD Bach and I were talking about this a little bit yesterday. It's kind of a bigger picture college football discussion. This is the fourth time that Nebraska and Maryland will have played as members of the Big Ten Conference. Nebraska's 2-1 against Maryland so far. There's a part of me that misses the days when this should have been like a Capital One Bowl matchup. You know, when you see Nebraska off a 9-3, a 10-2 year, Maryland has a pretty good year. They're one of the top teams in the ACC at that 8-4, 9-3 range. Both teams around the top 25, maybe inside, maybe outside. But Bach and I were talking about this. we miss the days of some of that regional distinction in terms of style of play. And that was part of the fun of bowl season, because sometimes speed beat power. Sometimes power beat speed. Who was ready to play? Who was able to most leverage their advantages, at least in the Big Ten? I feel like we've lost a lot of that. I'm not saying every team plays the same, but I miss the novelty of, the Nebraska option or the Nebraska ground and pound, whatever Nebraska is, against Maryland. Okay, this is what you expect from a team on the East Coast. This is what you expect from a team in the DC area that has a bunch of the skill position talent. Bach and I were saying we kind of missed that you could have those distinct kind of stylistic matchups, put those to the test in a bowl game, and now it's a random conference game early October.
As Sip, Jake, and Coach B talk about all the time, better times. Those are better. When I was driving to Manhattan, Kansas, just on last Sunday night.
That was the Little Apple, by the way.
Yeah, the Little Apple was a good time, man. Very short, quick trip. Manhattan has done a lot over the years as far as building that city, updating, et cetera. Manhattan's a cool little town. But as I was driving, I was thinking, man, I remember the days of coming down here. It was a short trip, 2 hours, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever it was. And like you mentioned, there was that regional style of play in the Big 8, later on the Big 12, et cetera. There was that familiarity. There were some people that knew other fans quite well because every other year, that rotation. Those days are gone now that, most conferences have gone to a national level. It's no longer regional, it's national. And so that East Coast feel that we won't, to your point, wouldn't normally get into maybe a bowl game, that's become a part of the regular season now. You think about just how much different in the contrast between even just and Austin, I can tell you this. I've spoken for years, both on the East Coast and West Coast, college, high school, and corporate. And I mean, it's the same all the way down. West Coast, more laid back, that Dr. Dre beat. Boom, 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 boom. East Coast, hold on. It's just different. And their football teams played similar. They took on the personalities of their
culture.
turf, of their culture, their turf, where they're from. So I think it's a very good point you bring up, in that it is different. But, I'll say this too. It makes it interesting too, because like you said, you got this big, hodgepodge of talent, different styles, and you see what sticks to the wall, which one comes out on the top.
And I get why the decisions have been made.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Like it makes sense why these conferences have gone the way that they did. But you remember getting those weird kind of one-off matchups, Nebraska-Washington in the home and home, and then the bowl game in the middle there, Nebraska-Arizona in a bowl game. Well, now Nebraska's going to see Washington twice every 4 years.
Yeah.
And it's great that Arizona and Arizona State are together. Maybe they get sick of each other. Maybe they don't. But, I mean, what does Texas Tech have to do with Arizona?
Right.
What does SMU have to do with Wake Forest? Those are such fun, random, like one-off bowl matchups that you were being told, oh, this is a heated conference rivalry now. These teams are fighting for 5th place at 7-5. Austin, I don't care.
Austin, it still blows me away that West Virginia is in the Big 12.
Yeah.
That didn't even sound right. If someone who's been passed away came back and we're like, so how's West Virginia doing on the East Coast? No, they're in the Big 12 now. Huh?
Wait, what?
And the Pac-12 no longer exists. So what else do you want to know? Who's this AI guy? No, that's not Allen Iverson.
No.
The world is changing quickly, Austin, but I think that's a great point you brought up, man. Originally with that, it's a different taste, different feel, and it's going to make interesting football today and for the oncoming years as far as these teams, these matchups continue.
Is there a target number for you in terms of points or yards in either the passing game or the rushing game for the Nebraska offense to say Nebraska's got a good chance to come out on top today?
Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, Austin, but I think you've got to establish some type of run game, man. I would, and I'm saying this
150.
Too, it'd be nice. I think you have to go. I mean, this is going to sound dumb. I'm not going to say dumb, but it's going to sound very easy. But no, I think you have to get it. Emmett's got to get a buck. At least he's got to get a buck. He's got to get a buck, man. A buck plus. But again, that's going to depend on that interior line. The offensive line has got to do those things. I'm gonna tell you my main concern. My main concern is Raiola getting dirty again. Because it becomes a safety hazard. I mean, a safety caution at a point. Like you said, 12 sacks in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
That's in the last 2 games.
For your franchise, essentially.
Yeah, exactly. So that is my biggest concern. Not that just this week. It's going to be the same next Friday up in Minnesota. It's going to be the same, the next one we play. My main thing is you have to keep him clean. There's going to be some rushes. I get that. There's going to be some sacks. It can't be 5. It can't be, sure as heck can't be 7. Like I said, it becomes a safety thing at this point, man.
You brought up the number 580. That's the number of times Nebraska turned it over against Maryland in Matt Rule's first year.
Oh, gosh, that game still gets me just I had to use the bathroom before I got here. I told you. That's making me almost want to go back to the bathroom.
More indigestion, my bad.
Oh, my gosh. Austin, that can't happen today, man.
I mean, 5 turnovers is almost too many in a month, let alone in one game that you end up losing 13 to 10. I mean, come on. And that's where, I'm sure Dylan Raiola's played in a little bit of rain. Certainly Dana Holgorsen and Matt Rule have coached in it. But there's going to be a very fine line for Nebraska, I think, between doing what's gotten him here and managing the moment.
Right.
Because
I like how you said that,
this is a big moment for Nebraska. And I feel like AD, sometimes coaches, the example I've always gone to is Dave Roberts of the Los Angeles Dodgers. I feel like in Dave Roberts' past, before, Kershaw got his World Series ring with the Dodgers a few years ago, I always felt like Dave Roberts was managing to create a moment. Wouldn't it be cool if we could get this set up for Clayton Kershaw to do X, Y, or Z? I think that's a very dangerous game to play.
Yeah, it is.
Trying to control your own fate and think that you have so much power that you can plan things out to the tiniest detail and you know just how something's going to go. Maryland's got guys on scholarships too.
Yes,
I don't think that Dana Holgorsen and Matt Rule are calling the plays and setting up the offense to create moments for Dylan Raiola. I think they have Nebraska's best interest in mind. But in a day like this, if it's going to be rainy and if the conditions come into play, that's where I think it's much more important for Nebraska to manage the moment than manage to make a moment.
Right. I like how you said manage moments, man. There's nothing to add on to that. They have to do that. And Austin, I will add on to this. Nebraska, obviously 7 of those were from the block punt, but managed only 7 points offensively in the first half last week.
Yeah.
7. That can't happen today.
No.
That cannot happen today. A team like Maryland, again, and I'm not making them more than what they are. I'm just simply going by the numbers, and the numbers don't lie. This team, now whether they do come out with a chip on the shoulder, that's an internal factor. You can't measure that. But if they do and play with the same skill they have, Nebraska will not be afforded that luxury that we were last week here against Michigan State.
One last number before we go to break and bring in Chris Raff here. Third downs, AD. Maryland's numbers are fascinating. They're number 4 in the Big Ten and number 13 nationally defensively, only allowing opponents to convert on 28% of their third downs. Here's the flip side of that story for Maryland. Offensively, the Terps are 18th in the Big Ten. That's dead last for those of you keeping score at home, and 101st nationally at converting their own third downs offensively at just 36.5%. I don't have Nebraska's numbers pulled up as easily in front of me right now, but it felt like anecdotally, Nebraska struggled on third down last week. We know they did against Michigan, especially on that final drive, essentially, for Michigan that iced the game. I think Nebraska's numbers are actually average or slightly better on third down, but man, third and long has not been successful for Nebraska.
No.
They're able to win on first and second down. It doesn't feel like as a fan or an analyst, you can sit back and say, okay, maybe they'll give up 4 or 5, but we trust them to get off the field. Michigan State almost broke Nebraska with some of those long conversions last week. You can't let a team like Maryland that has struggled on third down, whether it's execution, whether it's play calling, some combination thereof, don't be the team that lets them get their third down mojo back.
I'm going to echo what Foreman and Nick were talking about earlier, and I think
Did they have a good point for the first time all week? kidding.
Hey, y'all, I didn't say that, man. That's on Austin. I got a bad back. I can't defend myself. But Austin, what you just said, you're exactly right. You echoed the same thing that those guys said. It's going to be imperative for Nebraska to win third downs. And it can't, like to your point, Austin, it can't be 3rd and 14, 3rd and 12. We cannot afford to get out of system. Yeah. They have to be manageable third downs. I mean, it's crucial because, Austin, I'm going to add on to this. We'll talk about this come back. Not only the third downs have we not done well, we have not done good in the red zone.
Right.
That has got to improve dramatically. Let's talk about that too, man.
We'll go to break. We'll bring in Chris Raff, fold him into the show. More A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. This segment sponsored by Elway Power Sports of Lincoln. More of the show next on The Ticket.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Don't miss Fall Discount Day. This Saturday, October 11th, for one day only, get 17% off regular priced items. That's right, 17% off. From the barn to the backyard, Baumgars has you covered for all your field, farm, and fall fix-ups. Some exclusions apply. See a store associate for details. Baumgars, what you need when you need it.
Hey there, this is Paul Shield, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
When the clock strikes zero after every Nebraska football game, there's only one place to go for instant coverage. Tune in for the Husker After Party Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket for each game, win or lose. Call in with all your takes or text the show at 464-5685 and hear quotes from the players and coaches too. It's the Husker After Party Postgame Show. Sponsored by Anderson Ford and Vinny Krekak of State Farm Insurance.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th, when every red tag machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
It's the best time of the year to order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower from Landmark Implement during the early order program. Hay harvest is a race against time. Order a new John Deere self-propelled windrower to harvest your hay quickly and efficiently while promoting quick dry down for quality hay. Now is the time to lock in the best price of the year. Contact your local Landmark location for full details on a new self-propelled windrower and experience the Landmark difference.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet. KNTK FM Firth. 93.7 The Ticket. Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Raisin Canes.
Here we go, rolling right along on pregame. Austin Norman, Aaron Davis, joined by Chris Raff here momentarily. But for now, I would like to know about our friends at Raisin Canes. This season, Raisin Canes in downtown Lincoln is the place to be before and after the game. Stop by 14th and P Streets 2 hours before every home game for giveaways, good vibes, and their signature hand-battered, cooked-to-order chicken fingers, crispy crinkle-cut fries, buttery Texas toast, and, of course, that legendary Cane's sauce. When the final whistle blows, Cane's keeps the party going. They've got live DJs from whatever collective and unmatched energy for 3 hours after the game. At Raisin Cane's on 14th and P here in Lincoln. Raph, what's up? A happy Saturday game day to you, my friend.
Hello. Are you ready for some football?
Are you ever not ready for some football?
Nope. I'm always ready for football. But the one thing that I will say is the coach and me will never leave because I've been checking the weather since about 7:45 this morning. It looks like the rain is pushed away, so it should be good. And the wind is only like 8 or 9 miles an hour, so it should be good there. So let's play ball.
Raph, do you have your alarm set already for tomorrow morning's NFL International game?
I don't need an alarm.
So, Raph, should I wake you up at 3:30 tomorrow morning when I get up?
Yeah, you're different. But tomorrow's Sunday, so you sleep in tomorrow, don't you? Don't you like push it out to like 6:45 or 7 tomorrow?
Yeah, I slept until about 5 this morning, man. Felt great. Yeah, I will definitely. Sundays I sleep in a little bit longer on Sundays. First service I start until 9, so I'm sleep a little longer.
Yeah, I always like when you say up at 3:46 in the morning, and then you're like 86 more days in the year. I'm like, nah, still 87 AD. Come on.
Raph is like, that math ain't mathing.
My day don't start till noon.
You're like, no, bro, that's the middle of the night. Raph, I was telling Austin, man, my concerns with Nebraska, and I'm beating a dead horse, but I want to get your input on it as well before. I know Austin's got plenty for us, and I've got plenty for us, and you do as well. Both teams obviously coming both in at 4-1. My concern is Maryland comes into this game really pissed off from giving up a 20-point lead last week against Washington. They easily could have been coming in this game at 5-0. It was homecoming, to my understanding. I'm almost sure it was homecoming for Maryland last week as well. You got a bigger crowd. You give up a 20-point lead. Now granted, obviously, Nebraska has not been performing to the status of that logo and the number of the past couple of years. But that inn is still a very strong brand, Raph. That inn is very well respected still across the country, if not for the present, for the past, for sure. So it gains some respect. Like I always say, put some respect behind my name. Now, Nebraska has to go out and do that. My concern, though, we must take care of Raiola and not have him dirty again. 12 sacks, I know you were listening, and you know this already. 12 sacks in 2 games is unacceptable. My main concern is keeping him safe.
Yeah, and that actually it's kind of grown a little bit more here in the last 15, 20 minutes. Elijah Pritchett is questionable for the game today, so that could play into that keeping Raiola safe factor this afternoon, because they're going to have to find a way to stop the freshman Zahir Mathis and Sydney Stewart. So them coming off the edge and possibly not having Elijah Pritchett for the game. Like I said, he's questionable, so that's usually not a good sign. So I don't know how that's going to play out there. Yeah, they just announced it in the availability report about 15-20 minutes ago.
So that means if he's questionable that this close to the game time, that spells Turner Cochran, I believe, that'll come in for him. Or maybe do they switch with somebody else?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised to see Nebraska just kick Gunnar Gatula back to the left side and then give Teddy Prohaska or maybe even Tyler Canuck another shot. I mean, we haven't seen Canuck, I don't think, at all so far this year. Of course, Nebraska made the switch last week to move Gatula over to right tackle, thought he was the better option of those three, and then give Elijah Pritchett what they thought was going to be his first extended look. I think it's an ankle injury, which is not great for an offensive lineman. When you need that stability, you need that ability to plant, to provide power and to change direction. If that is correct, if my sources are correct that it is the ankle, there's a very fine line. What's better for Nebraska? A 75, 80, 85% healthy Elijah Pritchett or a healthier Gunnar Gatula in the downgrade on the right side? There's a lot for Nebraska to weigh in that situation on both the running aspect and the passing element.
Yeah, it's Raph, that's that availability report through a monkey wrench in my head mentally for a while there. Hopefully it doesn't for them. Hopefully it's okay. Next man up, ready to go. Real quick, just speaking of those guys, we did have left tackle at Elijah Pritchett, so it's going to be interesting to see who's going to spell Elijah Pritchett on the left side. Left guard, you got Latovsky, Justin Evans, of course, holding things down at center. Right guard, you got Rocco Spindler. Right tackle, again, that's going to be interesting if Gunnar takes that over, makes the switch. Both of those tackle positions right now, Austin and Raph, could be a little interesting to see who comes out and how they do the rotation.
Yeah, there's definitely there's opportunities there for some young players there today. You might, the guy that really hasn't had a ton of mention is like Grant Bricks. Like, would that be something that, give him a try? He's been around the program for over a year now, but I'd like to see him, maybe get an opportunity at maybe that right tackle position also.
That's an interesting one because we hear so often about how long it takes offensive linemen to develop. And Nebraska's had, a couple highly touted freshmen come in. AD, you brought him up, Turner Corcoran, right? He was one of those guys that got kind of thrown into the fire a few years ago against Wisconsin. He held his own. You're like, oh, okay, he held his own as a freshman. What is this guy going to be as a junior, as a senior? The exact same as he was as a freshman. So to me, I love the option of Grant Bricks if he's ready to go. I just think Husker fans need to remember that if he is an option, it's one game. It's his first in-game experience since he was a high school senior, dominating in, I believe he was the one from Iowa, smaller class, kind of the Carter Nelson effect going on there as well. You can hope for it, you can wish for it, but you got to see it. So I think to me, he's an emergency option, certainly an intriguing one. And that's, again, it would be a gutsy call on Nebraska's part, because if you make that call, you better be right. If you're right, the question is always going to be, well, why didn't you do that sooner? If he has enough natural talent and his body's close enough, why didn't you do that? But if it goes wrong, it's why did you waste a random game of a red shirt for this? I guess he redshirted last year, but why did you use a random game, put this guy out, in a weird week for a road week, go out a day early? There again, you can't be worried about what people are going to say if it works or if it doesn't work.
Absolutely.
But you do have to be prepared for the ramifications of it working or not working.
I was laughing a little bit earlier. I typed in available tackles for Nebraska football, and Tonu Finoti popped up on there, and I was like, I'll take one.
Bring him back. I want to ask you both this, Austin and Raph both. Dane Key, guy that obviously did not see the ball last week's victory. You know what I did like? You didn't hear anything about it. Business as usual. Thoughts on Dane Key today?
Raph, you go first.
I'm upset he didn't tweet something out, say more catches or something like that. But, I mean, it's not being selfish enough. I mean, receivers should want the ball all the time in their hands, and no tweet. No, honestly, I think that brought a smile to my face that he elicited, from the press conference, that Dane Key from Dana Holgerson played a great game, blocking on the perimeter, opened up two big plays for Nebraska in that aspect. And like Dana Holgerson said, it's like when you do all those good things, the ball eventually finds your hands. So like I said, I would not be surprised today to see Dane Key play a more crucial factor in that passing game.
Yeah, I like a lot of that. And I do think that reasons like that are a big part of why Nebraska went to go get Dane Key. They like a lot of their young pieces. If they felt they still needed that tone setter, that culture guy, if he was the right fit in that way, absolutely, he's paid dividends. I do think that there is some good, sports karma. You think about basketball making the extra pass. You think about baseball, the unwritten rules playing quote unquote the right way. Football is the same thing. You play the game the right way, ball finds energy. Dane Key's too talented to not have the ball come his way. Unless maybe his ability has been slightly oversold. Maybe Nebraska's seeing something that maybe there are times that he's open to not getting it. Dana Holgerson mentioned that. But you think about a game like Michigan, and even last week against Michigan State. On the one hand, I think it's fantastic that Nebraska has enough legitimate receiving options that Dane Key's lack of catches, I think 5 in the last 2 weeks, and none of them for huge gains. It's a good sign to some degree that they have the depth at pass catcher and they don't have to rely on him.
Absolutely.
Except then you think about Michigan and how little impact he made there. Isn't that why you go get a guy? I get it. Ja'Cory Barney Jr. had a great game. Fantastic. But eventually, if you're going to spend the money on these players to get them that you did, they have to have an impact in a game like Michigan. They have to be the guy you go to when your offense is in a lull against Michigan State. In a receiver, it's hard. It's not all in his control. He can only run his route.
Absolutely.
But at some point, if you're that guy, don't you find a way to get open in that moment and say, hey, Coach Dana, hey, Coach Shorts, throw the ball to me. Hey, Dylan, if you're under duress, I got a one-on-one on this side, just throw it up. I'll go make a play for you. So if he's not going to do that or be that option for Nebraska, it does make me wonder, was the investment fully worth it? Maybe it is, maybe it isn't. So it's a blessing and a curse that you're not as much worried about his catches and his numbers because he seems like a good young man with a good head on his shoulders who's going to do all the other stuff well. But at some point, if you're going to pay top dollar or close to top dollar for a transfer receiver, a game like Michigan where you need him to show up and he doesn't, or a game like Michigan State where you go through such a lull and he doesn't touch the ball, it's not concerning, but it is at the same time.
The receiver we had here a couple years ago, oh my goodness, my name he's with New Orleans Saints now, got traded from the Bucks.
Trey Palmer.
Trey Palmer.
He woke up feeling pissed off.
I want Dane Key to wake up pissed off on the East Coast this morning, Rav. I hope he woke up pissed off. But I like how he kept his composure because we don't know what was being said in practice. We don't know what the conversation him and Dylan may have been having. But I like what both of you mentioned there is that, I'm sure he was like, hey, bro, I got you. So look for me if you're under duress. I'm doing this. I've got one-on-one with this guy. Allow me to make a play, if you would. And again, if this was a 2 or 3 game stretch, I would even say if he didn't have a catch today, even with a win, I'm still going to be a little bit concerned on that. But I'm really not concerned with it just a 1 game stretch, especially a game that you won, a game that you had to come back. You outscored your opponent 24-7 in the second half. I can care less. It's like, hey, we did what we had to do to get the game won. If you were in that script, so be it. But he was in the script because, like Raph, as you mentioned, Dana said he made a number of key blocks when he didn't have the ball. And that's what I like to see, Raph. That's what I like to see, Austin. Someone, even if they're not getting the ball, they are still doing their part to open up those plays that did go to the distance because you don't always see all the blocks. And as a former wide receiver, those things Coach Brown always told us, a lot of times, guys, people are only going to see the guy sprinting down the field. And Isaiah Hunter sprinting down the field. A lot of people miss the block that Evans laid somebody out on that play. I mean, like destroyed him on that play. We don't see that because our eyes, we're looking at the ball. We're not looking at all the things that made those holes and those gaps that created those. So I like the fact that Dana mentioned that. And these coaches sometimes, I think they speak to their team through the media. And I'm not saying he was, but I think a lot of times they do that very strategically. How he mentioned that almost kind of this young man, hey, I see you. We see you. Well done.
I am kind of upset, though, that Twitter was not around when you were playing AD because I would have loved to see those texts to Coach Osborne and Coach Brown the day after the pancake against Colorado and UCLA. You saying, I want to see the ball some more, Coach.
Are you saying that college AD wasn't the same maturity level as grown-up AD, Raph? Is that what you're trying to tell me?
I think he would have been requesting the ball more. I really think so.
Look, I know we're up 35 with 3 seconds left, but I need to catch, dog. Oh man, you guys, I want to bring it to the special teams part real quick. We haven't talked about that yet. A game like this, and again, our man Archie, he's going to be in a different environment. Obviously, Arrowhead was different, but this is going to definitely be a different environment. How crucial will it be for the special teams to show up again and just play consistent? I'm not saying they have to be all-stars like they were last week. We just need the special teams to do things consistent. Raph, what's the importance of special teams on a game like today going into College Park?
Well, I think for every game they're super important. But the one thing that really caught my ear this week was about how now these special team players feel that they can affect the game. Like, I don't know where that's been at for the last 10 or 15 years. We had a couple of years there were decent, but now these players are going in the game going, if I'm Jameer Khan, I can block a punt, I can impact the game. If I'm Barney, if I bring one back, I can impact the game. You've got a bunch of players out there that it actually is a third element, offense, defense, special teams. For a lot of years there, special teams was sort of like the stepsister that was just left upstairs in the bedroom and forgot about. So it's cool to see that now these players are seeing that there's impact to what they're doing out there. And I think you see it in the play, and I think you'll see something today. Archie so far this year, he's been awesome, watching him play, never playing in a organized football game before in his life, and what he's done out there so far. And I'm curious to see if they have any fakes and fake punts for him, just for the fact that having the background of what he does, to see him, run the ball on one of those fake punts where, he's running to the left, running to the right like he does.
And see, I'm ready for special teams to be the cousin that you only see on holidays. Like, if it's going to make splash plays, great. But like, I don't need special team splash plays. Like, if they happen, great. But you know what
you're telling me right there, Austin. You know what you're telling me right there by saying that?
I'm one of the youths. I'm the Madden generation.
You're a big Santino Panico fan.
Obviously, if you didn't know that about me by now, but I think that
First of all, I got to say that analogy was gold, man.
Thank you very much.
You really want to see holidays.
And of course, that has maybe a little bit of a negative connotation in Nebraska, because if you're seeing that cousin on Thanksgiving, it probably means you're seeing Iowa. We know how special teams have gone for Nebraska against Iowa, but that point notwithstanding, they're a big story that they have to be, because the level has been so poor for a while. But Archie wasn't that great last week. He had one good punt. He struggled with the wind, into the wind, right? And that's understandable.
Right.
It's a bounce back game for him. But here's the thing. I don't want to see him. Don't punt. I like going for it. I like the aggression on fourth down. I really do. And I know some of that's game script. I know some of that's analytics. I know some of it's feel. That's not an anti-Archie take. I just think that Nebraska's ultimate success, the ceiling, is going to be determined by the offense. So I really like that Nebraska has been relatively aggressive, whether it's been goal to go or in plus field position. I'm not a Big Ten guy. I'm not a punt from the plus 35. No, that's not why you go get your punter. That's why you have an offense on the field. So I like Nebraska's aggression on fourth down so far this year.
Hey, Eric says, Raph, don't you talk about Santino Panico. You bloop, bloop, bloop. Eric has let it be known to us many times. You do not talk about SP. You do not talk about Santino Panico. You do not do that.
Always the best about Santino Panico was, if I fell down forward, I'd average more yards of punt return than he did. I mean, that's it's hard to do.
It's me, Rav, Joe Walker, Mike Fullman. Was Booker with us that night?
He might have been.
I think he might have been Booker. So we're sitting down at Establishment a couple years ago, and we're talking about punt return. You're looking at probably two of the best ones to ever do it. Hey, it was also DeJuan Gross was with us that night.
Heard he was pretty good at that sort of thing.
Wasn't DeJuan with us that night, Raph?
I think, but I think there were like 4 or 5. I think, but it was
Raph was having too good a time. He doesn't remember, and that's okay.
Goes like this. You guys, you cannot forget about Santino Panico. They were silenced. They was like, "Man, are you crazy?"
I thought DeJuan was going to slap me upside the head.
We're looking at DeJuan Gross, Mike Fullman, Joe Walker, 3 of the best to ever do it for Nebraska, and Raph brings up Santino Panico.
Well, I think what happened was I put Santino ahead of Joe Walker, and that's where really things got a little violent.
Joe got that slow Texas accent. Hey, man, don't you ever be talking disrespect to me like that, man.
Incredible. Raph, we were talking about this a little bit. Obviously, Santino Panico had a bunch of important moments in his Nebraska football career. How important is this moment and really these next 6 days for Nebraska? Obviously, starting with Maryland today and then another road trip to Minnesota on Friday. What are you looking to learn and see from this Husker program over the course of these 60 minutes in the next 6 days to tell you that, yeah, they've taken a step in the right direction again so far this year?
Well, if we win the next 2 games, we're bowl eligible, so that'll be quicker than what we have in the previous 9 years. So that's huge. I think just seeing Nebraska on the road. I mean, this is, truly Nebraska's first road game of the year. I know that Cincinnati was a road game considered, but I mean, it felt like a home game by all accounts. So now you've got two road games. You got the smaller locker rooms. You've got, for the most part, I think that the fan bases will be more pro Maryland, more pro Minnesota, even though we know Nebraska fans, Minnesota, it could be 50-50. You never know. But yeah, so this is huge for Nebraska to see, how they play on the road.
I love Andy Reid's. He's got this 4-part coaching philosophy, and I love it. Eliminate distractions, create your own energy, fear nothing, attack everything. Eliminate distractions, create your own energy, fear nothing, attack everything. That is the blueprint for Nebraska today. And not just this game, but every game, particularly on the road. They've got to bring their own energy. Because you guys, this is just me. I highly doubt that place is going to be on and popping like Memorial Stadium. I'm not saying it's not going to be on and popping, but not like home.
Right.
Nor would it be for Maryland here at Nebraska. We know that for sure. So they're going to have to bring their own energy today. And you know what, Raph and Austin, think about this. This is these guys' first time to where the majority of the crowd, unless Nebraska just really shows up as fan base, to where our fans will most likely be in the minority at a stadium. For the first time this year, we were the last Big Ten team to have a true road game. Yeah. We're the last one. And here we are mid-October. Next week we're looking at the 15th, mid-October. So Nebraska is going to have to bring their own energy on all 3 phases of the game.
Raph, we gave these stats with AD, but Maryland still hasn't allowed a touchdown on an opening possession. One of 4 teams in the Big Ten to do so. And I think it's something like they've only allowed 10 points in the first half overall. What does that tell you about what Nebraska needs to make look similar to Michigan State at home last week on the road against Maryland?
It can't be sluggish. Got to come out of the gates fast. Hopefully, Nebraska can have something sustained in their the first. I mean, if they don't score in the first possession, it's not the end of the world, but they just can't.
I'll try telling that to Husker fans, Raph. Come on. The sky's going to be falling, hellfire and brimstone.
we just can't take the first half off. That's not the magic potion for winning is you can't take 2.5, 3 quarters off and then, come around in the fourth quarter. Nebraska's got to, play a complete game. Yeah, there's going to be possessions where you're going to have to punt. That's part of football. But the thing is, you just can't go stagnant.
Says you.
Okay. Well, okay. Score on every possession. I'm good with that too. But we just can't go stagnant. We just can't give quarters away. It's got to be 60 minutes.
You just mentioned score. You see my face, Austin?
Yeah, I saw your face. I asked what's
I'm
up.
talking about. UCLA, speaking of scoring, they are beating Michigan State 31-7. 31-7. And Raph, I mean, you've heard me, and also know you've heard it on tape, on vinyl. We got it on there on the what I was talking about. I said, when me and Nick were talking, I was talking about games I'm concerned about. I said, UCLA, Nick didn't say this, but some of the people in the text, are you crazy? They don't even have a coach. That's why they're dangerous. Right. They have freaking nothing to lose. And they are beating the brakes off of Michigan State 31-7 right now. And they still got a whole quarter and a half to go.
Here's what that tells me is that Nebraska's back. The Nebraska hangover's real. We did it, folks. They did it. They're back.
Well, I just want to know, for 6 years, Jerry Neuheisel was the tight ends coach at UCLA. It's like 2 weeks now, he's the second coming of the greatest offense coordinator in the history of football.
Dude, but Austin and Raph, don't you love the parody of collegiate sports like this, to where it just shows you, are you freaking kidding me? A team that was left for dead. I mean, literally, they started school on the 25th. They already fired a coach. Some guys were in the portal. And you know what? Some guys, and obviously it's showing. So who's ever leading that squad, I forget, Skipper, Coach
Yeah,
Skipper?
Tim Skipper.
Well, he didn't skip.
No.
They're skipping to Malou right now, and I'm telling you right now, Neuheisel, his first game column games was last week against Penn State.
You didn't know how the buttons work.
Didn't know how the buttons work. That'd be like me hopping behind that board right now. I have no idea what I was doing. Neuheisel wasn't much different as far as that goes. It's beautiful to see it. Like I said, when I said the only game that I'm somewhat comfortable with is Northwestern. And even there, it could be, it could just kind of be, a rock in your shoe if not careful. And people are like, what about UCLA on the coach? I said, that's a dangerous team. Look what Northwestern did last year when that mayhem they had.
Yeah.
When you're under mayhem, you figure, you know what? We ain't got nothing.
2 years ago now.
2 years ago.
Which is crazy. That was
Yeah.
2 years ago.
2 years ago.
But
We ain't got nothing to lose. And UCLA's playing like that right now. I had to say that score because I looked at it and it jumped. I'm like, are you kidding? My brother Mark texted me, he goes, UCLA's concerned. I went and checked out the score. I'm like, holy smokes. Holy smokes. It is what it is, man.
Nebraska and Maryland just about an hour away. We will go to break right here. Raph, thanks for hopping on. AD, wait. Okay, just kidding.
Texter 1146. You definitely did not hear that from me and Nick on the drive. You guys, your broadcast team scoffed at me when I said 2 weeks ago UCLA was going to give Nebraska a game. They have dudes, now they have a coach. Unknown texter, I guarantee that wasn't there 9/11 because I totally agree with you, my brother or my sister. Because UCLA, I mentioned this. We'll bring it up. We can find the clip. We won't do it today. We can find that clip.
I see the text.
Yeah.
Right above. It's 3 texts back. UCLA, Nebraska is going to be close. September 29th, 2025,
Yes.
11:12 a.m.
Yes.
Called your shot.
Oh, it wasn't there in our show. That's for sure. Because I agree with you, bro. Because that team, they got nothing to lose. Austin, before we go to break, what's your score?
I don't know. I've gotten out of the score prediction business. I think Nebraska's got enough to win, at the very least.
Rafi, what you got, my man?
31-20 Nebraska.
I'm going 27-21 Skurs.
Just win, baby.
Just win, baby. That's it.
That's Raph. That's AD. I'm Austin. Adam Carricker joins the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show after this.
Stonebrook Exterior is your trusted partner in exterior solutions for both residential and commercial projects across Lincoln and Omaha. With over 2 decades of expertise, they deliver everything your building needs, all under one roof. From roofing and siding to gutters, wall systems, custom masonry, and metalwork, Stonebrook handles it all with precision, safety, and professionalism. Take the worry out of your exterior projects. Choose Stonebrook Exterior, where quality, safety, and service come together seamlessly. Visit StonebrookExterior.com or call 402-438-5559 to get your free quote today.
When the clock strikes 0 after every Nebraska football game, there's only one place to go for instant coverage. Tune in for the Husker After Party Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket for each game, win or lose. Call in with all your takes or text the show at 464-5685 and hear quotes from the players and coaches too. It's the Husker After Party Postgame Show, sponsored by Anderson Ford and Vinnie Krikak of State Farm Insurance.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th, when every red tag machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
Fall is here, and so are cooler temps, darker evenings, and slick roads. Is your vehicle ready for the change in seasons? At A1 Automotive, we've got you covered. From tire checks, brake inspections, batteries, and heater systems, we make sure your car is road ready for the Nebraska winters ahead. Don't wait until the first frost. Schedule your fall car care checkup today and drive with confidence all season long. A1 Automotive, always honest answers.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Hey guys, it's Adam Carricker here. As a former Husker and NFL player, I'm a health nut. Hydration and recovery starts at home. That's why I teamed up with Culligan of Lincoln. Soft water means better showers, cleaner dishes, and it protects my water heater and appliances. Their high-efficiency softener cuts salt and water usage. For drinking, I added a Culligan reverse osmosis. Bottled quality water right at my tap. Great taste, and it's certified to reduce tough contaminants like lead and PFAs. Right now, get up to $300 off a whole home system, or just $9.95 per month for your first 3 months. Schedule your free water test at CulliganHuskers.com. That's CulliganHuskers.com. Culligan of Lincoln, water you love. Go Big Red.
Limited time offer. Participating dealers. Restrictions may apply. Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled high-end wine room. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for spirits and cigars. That's Wall-to-Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by Currency.
Welcome back to it. It is the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. Austin Norman with you here at 1040 O Street. This segment of the show brought to you, as you just heard, by Currency. If you're looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work, you can explore new career options at Currency, hiring full-time positions in financial, sales, compliance, and other fields. Apply today at gocurrency.com. Let's go to our Aloe Fiber VIP line. Welcome in the host of the Adam Carricker Show here on 93.7 The Ticket. It is the man himself, Adam Carricker. Adam, a happy Saturday, a happy game day to you. less than an hour from kickoff between Nebraska and Maryland. What's on your mind?
Oh, man, I'm thinking about trying not to zoom ahead to what I'm going to feel like at about 6:30 tonight, because if we're sitting there at 5-1, I'm going to be awfully excited. So I'm trying not to do that, but it's really hard, Austin. What about you?
Yeah, no, I think this month of October is just such a fascinating spot for this Nebraska program to be in, where I think it's a month of opportunities, where Michigan State wasn't a gimme. Certainly Maryland won't be. Minnesota's kind of owned Nebraska, and you really only feel great about Nebraska's final game of the month against Northwestern. So I think that is the challenge maybe for Nebraska, is to not look ahead, to not wonder what's on the horizon, but to keep the head down and keep working. Because Adam, it kind of felt like that's what came back to bite Nebraska for about 35, 40 minutes of last week's games. They get off to the 14-0 start, 3 fantastic possessions where Nebraska gets the stop. They go down and score, and then they get the blocked punt that gets picked up by Carter Nelson and turned into 7 points. Kind of felt like Nebraska maybe looked ahead in that game. Oh, yeah, we got this one in the bag. Kind of put it on cruise control too early after Michigan State started playing up to the level that they were capable of. So I think in both the microcosm and the macrocosm, avoiding looking ahead to the rest of the month and making sure that this Nebraska team is present in the moment is going to be a huge key as the program continues to grow and develop.
I completely agree with you. I love the fast starts. I love the strong finishes that we've had. I pointed it out a few times, but I just like saying this, so I'm going to say it again. We own the state of Michigan in the fourth quarter, outscored Michigan State 27-9 the past 2 weeks. And if you go back throughout the season as a whole, it's even more in our favor in the fourth quarter beyond that. But then you start to factor in like Houston, Christian, and Akron, et cetera. So for me, I love that. But if we get up by, I don't want to take a fast start for granted, by the way. Let's keep doing that. But if we get up by 7, 10, 14, that's when I'm going to sit there and I'm going to be like, all right, can we just blow them out? I'm not saying we're going to, or that we should. We're only like a 5.5 point favorite. But if we get to that point, can Nebraska put their foot on the throat, and can they blow a team out other than Akron, other than Houston Christian? We know we physically can, but will we execute consistently enough to do it? Rule and Holgerson basically called the second quarter an abomination last week. So it's about that consistency for 4 full quarters. That being said, if we just walk out of Maryland beating the Turtles with a 1-point win, I'll be all right with that and perfectly happy with that too.
Do you have a preference if it is a 1-point game? Are you a guy that would see more positive out of a 42-41 win versus a 28-27 win versus the Matt Rule favorite 17-16 win? What do you think the game needs to look like for Nebraska to come out victorious?
Well, first of all, if we only win by 1 point, there's going to be a lot of people like me who are very happy. And then there's going to be a lot of folks who are upset because we won, but there's going to be things in the game that didn't look well against a team who has less coaching experience. Didn't say they're not good coaches, just less coaching experience, and they're not anywhere near as talented as we are. So for me, oh man, the scores you just mentioned, if it's 42-41, I feel like that would have the least positive response from the fan base because we gave up a lot of points. And we're supposed to be the number 1 pass defense in the country. Obviously, they will have thrown the ball for some points, or we just got the doors blown off us trying to stop the run. So I think that would make people the least happy. If it's 16-17, 13, 14-13, then the offense will have struggled, probably given up a few sacks. So I don't hate the 27-28 because it means some things went well offensively, but not everything. Some things went well defensively, but not everything. So I feel like that would make people the happiest. For me, man, I'm just like, I truly just want to get the win. And I don't want to look ahead to Minnesota because we just talked about not looking ahead. But I'm not a coach. I'm not a player. We're in a little different spot. I just want to beat Minnesota so freaking bad. But let's get the win in Maryland today first.
And see, if I was in the rooting for my predictions business, which I think we all are to some degree, I would say if Nebraska is gonna win it close, I think Nebraska is due to win a track meet. I still think, Adam, that I'm still generally more impressed with the defense than I am the offense in terms of consistency. I thought the defense had more to do to meet the level that I thought they'd be capable of. And I think even though it hasn't been perfect, the defense has impressed me more. I think they've taken more steps of growth, at least in the tangible ways. I'm still waiting to see a full month of offensive consistency from Nebraska when it matters the most. Yeah, you end up putting the points on the board last week against Michigan State, but you only capitalize on one of your short fields and you get 7 points off of the blocked punt. So that's really only, 24 points the offense had to go out there, work and earn, which, with Michigan State's output wouldn't have been enough, which is why we're lucky they count all the points, not just the points that are convenient for our agenda. But I do think it's time for Dana Holgorsen and this Nebraska offense to take over as the strength of the team, to where, yes, you want a solid defensive performance. I feel like that's a little bit of potentially a higher floor unit, but we're still seeing the bottom drop out of this Nebraska offense like we did in the middle part of last week's game. To me, it would be a step in the right direction for the program and really for the offense to say, yeah, the defense has carried this team and this program for the better part of the last 3 or 4 years. I'm ready to see the offense step up and say, no, it's our turn now. If you guys do have an off game, don't worry. We will be clicking on all cylinders. We have answers for every situation. I'm ready to see that from the Nebraska offense.
Dude, I think you make some phenomenal points. When it comes to the defense coming into the season, the defense or the special teams was probably the biggest question mark of the team. I remember doing shows where I talked about it. I was like, the offense is going to be ahead of the defense. Can the defense catch up? Can they surpass the offense? How long does it take or not take? And the special teams, dude, everybody is very happy with where we're at. That goes without saying. They have exceeded expectations, in my opinion, already. Can we just sustain the consistency? Defensively, there was way more question marks. And, yeah, the Michigan game, we gave up a lot of rushes, a lot of yards per carry. And I am not one of those guys that's like, oh, if you take away 3 plays, it becomes this. So I'm not going to do that. There was 3 long runs that Michigan had, and that really was what they did. That's what kind of blew the doors off a little bit when it came to the stats, but we still couldn't stop the run in general. But when you go back over the season as a whole for the defense, obviously the pass defense is great. Again, I don't know if we're going to finish number 1 in the country or not, but they're great. Our front, the defensive front, a little bit younger, a little bit lighter, gave up some rushing yards to Cincy, but 96 of those were due to the quarterback. Turns out Sorsby is not half bad. Then you play Houston Christian, Akron, Michigan, and then you go against Michigan State and you really dominate their front. I wonder if when Matt Rule said we're going to have one of the best D-lines around, and it bothered me at the time that he said it before we had ever had a practice in the spring. I'm like, how do you know that? Like, how do you know that? But maybe what he meant, maybe he didn't mean game 1. Because just because you have one of the better D-lines or a good D-line, maybe there's a process to getting there that involves you getting there around game 5, around game 6, maybe even by USC. If our defensive line with McCullough, and I know he's technically second level, but Williams, Waneri, Riley Van Poppel starts to emerge by that USC game, I think fans would be happy. So maybe there's a bit more of a progression than, hey, right out the gate, we're going to have one of the best D-lines around. Maybe there's a progression to, hey, by game 4, we'll be pretty good. By November, maybe what Matt Rule said before we ever had a spring practice starts to come to fruition, because you're right about the defense. I think the floor on the defense is higher now that we've seen 5 games, and I would have thought it was lower before the season. And the offense, we have so much experience on that offensive line. We brought in Isaiah Hunter. We brought in Key. Lindenmeyer's back. Harburg's an athlete. Emmett's back. Dillon's back. All these guys back. Yet, they, of the 3 units, have probably been the least consistent. I think you make some phenomenal points. Today is the day. All right, Maryland hasn't had the toughest schedule in the country, but they do lead the Big Ten in sacks. All right. Can you protect Dillon against Maryland today? Can you limit the sacks? Can you score points? And this could be the day maybe they take a step forward in the appropriate direction to the level that they should be playing, to your point.
If Nebraska is going to take that step forward offensively, does that come down to something as simple as get Emmett Johnson the rock more often, or do you think Nebraska can do that by continuing to spread the ball out like it has?
I have no problem with them spreading the ball around. I think they have like 18 guys with the reception, 15 guys with a catch of 20 yards or more. I've got no problem with that. I would like to see Dane Key do a few more things because he's capable of it. What he did in those Kentucky offenses, as bad as they were, and as much as their quarterback play struggled, to average almost 15 yards of reception, and right now he's averaging 8 with better offensive tools around him and a better quarterback and play caller involved in his offense. I want to see him do that, but I don't mind spreading the ball around. Running the ball a little bit more effectively as a team. I understand Emmett's stats are really good in the Big Ten, but as a team would help. But, dude, if we can just protect Dylan, and he's got to get rid of the ball a little bit quicker, receivers got to get open a little bit quicker, it all goes hand in hand. But if we can limit the sack numbers today, I feel great about being Maryland. If Maryland's got like 5, 6, 7 sacks, all of a sudden we're in a one-score, one-point game, and you never know which way those games are going to go.
Austin Norman at 1040 O Street, Adam Carricker on the road, taking you through the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show. This segment brought to you by Currency. If you're looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work, visit gocurrency.com today to apply. Adam, let's switch this over to the Nebraska defense for a little bit. What did you like or not like about how Nebraska handled Aiden Childs in last week's game against Michigan State? And then how does that carry over or improve for today against a similar type player in Malik Washington?
Oh, man, so Aiden was coming in completing about 73, 74% of his passes. He looked lost against us. He looked so befuddled and lost. He completed 39% of his passes. And every quarterback we played this year has had a season low in passing yards in the game that they played against us. We're 5 for 5 so far. And so I love the way we've defended people through the air. We've got to be able to contain quarterbacks on the ground. Now, I've talked about Malik Washington's athleticism, the fact that he can run, the fact that Maryland doesn't really care to even try to run as a team. They're averaging 93 yards a game, dead last in the Big Ten. He's not a guy who's going to look to take off and run as much as Aiden did. He had those 2 third-quarter touchdowns against us. But it's something we have to watch for. Because if I'm Maryland, before we played Michigan, Bryce Underwood hadn't ran a ton. And then all of a sudden, they start running with him a lot more. If I'm Maryland, I might look at Malik and be like, hey, man, they got a good pass defense. We don't run great as a team. You might have to use the legs a little bit more. So if I'm John Butler, I might anticipate that a little bit, and we got to be ready. If he does, he doesn't want to run. He doesn't want to, but he can. And if he decides to, are we ready with some sort of game plan for that?
As a defender, when you hear that scouting report about a quarterback that he can run, he doesn't like to, but he's maybe more pocket-based, what does that do for your mindset? What does that tell you your responsibilities are, especially in those first 2 levels as a rusher from the defensive line or as a linebacker?
Oh, I get so happy. When I know a quarterback doesn't want to run, I get so happy. Now, this is obviously the NFL. There were guys who infuriated me because they'd get rid of the ball so quick, like Peyton and Brady. They got rid of the ball so quick. They never had a good offensive line. I'd be back there in a heartbeat, and the ball would be gone, and they just smile and wink as they jog down the field because they just threw a 20-yard completion. But those are 2 anomalies. We all know that. So outside of those 2 anomalies, like when you play a guy who's going to run around and looks to run, first of all, defensive coordinators and D-line coaches are flipping out all week in practice because it's their worst nightmare, because it's that unpredictable element that you can't really plan for, especially the broken play in a quarterback running. So immediately my life becomes harder in practice. It's harder for me to rush the quarterback in a game because they're going to focus on keeping him in the pocket for obvious reasons. But now it's harder for me to get there, period, because my number one focus becomes containing him instead of rushing him. We played Kansas one year. I forget their quarterback's name. We actually went into overtime. We won the game. I played over 100 plays that day. That's the single most exhausted I've ever been after a game. But we went into that game, and our D-line coach, I about fell over. He goes, I don't care if we get a single sack. You're not allowed to rush the quarterback. Your job is to contain him. I've never been so miserable in my life. I hated everything about that. We won the game. But as soon as I know a quarterback's not going to run, my life becomes easier. The moment I know he wants to or he can, it becomes exponentially harder for so many reasons.
That strikes me as a strange approach to take, even if in theory it makes sense, because defense seems like it's so much about seizing those moments of aggression and setting the tone, because so much of defense is reactionary. It's hard to set the tone sometimes, I think, and dictate what the offense can or can't do. So if you're John Butler and you want your guys to still have that attacking mindset, what's the message to them throughout the course of the week to make sure that they know their job is contained, but that they need to feel free to get after the quarterback a little bit too?
So this is me personally, and I know why D coordinators don't like to do it, but I've always been of the mindset, just pick a guy as a spy, and then everybody else can just do what they normally do. Now, D coordinators don't like doing that because you're literally taking a guy out of coverage. Not necessarily out of the run fits, but if he's watching the quarterback, he's going to be the last guy to the running back, because what if the quarterback keeps it? What if it's a boot, etc. you're kind of taking a guy out of the defense to a degree. If you designate a guy as a spy. So I know why D coordinators hate it and they don't want to do it. I don't care, because to your point, if everybody else can just go do their job, play free, you kind of game plan knowing that this quarterback can run, so maybe he's not as good a passer, maybe he's not as good as something else, so they're sacrificing something to have a running quarterback, at least to a degree. So why don't I sacrifice a little bit of something on defense in order to try to contain that running quarterback, at least to a degree, but then everybody else can just play with their hair on fire. That was always my mentality. I've been a Division I defensive coordinator 0 times in my life, but if I ever was, that's how I would look at it.
I can see the theory both ways with, keep the spy because you get a one-on-one, you have the guy accounted for, he knows his responsibility. But then from the offensive side, Adam, isn't that what a lot of offenses scheme to do, is get their best athletes in a one-on-one in some cases? And, for Maryland, I'm not sure Malik Washington is the best athlete, but you can make the case maybe with Underwood at Michigan, certainly by the time he grows up after a couple years. That's where I think more than anything, this having played defense at the highest level for a while, you can't just do one thing. Nebraska's got to come into Maryland with one defensive game plan, but multiple different looks to throw at Maryland. So sometimes there's a spy, and just keep a freshman quarterback guessing.
No, I think that's perfect. You have to mix it up. Like, I know Butler likes man-to-man. You got to be able to throw in some zone. In fact, if you watch the film, that's what was confusing Childs. We'd line up and bump man coverage, and then all of a sudden we'd bail into cover 2, cover 3, or quarters, and he was like, you could literally just see him like, whoa, what the heck is that? And then he was stuck holding the ball. And so when you can show one thing, do another, show one thing, then do exactly what you were showing, then do something else, mix it up, keep them off balance. That's what made the guys that I referenced earlier, Brady and Manning, so good, is they could figure out what you were going to do, and they learned to read body languages. And I had a guy tell me one time they were playing against Phillip Rivers and the Chargers, and they were running a blitz. And before the snap, Rivers goes, "You're going to blitz the wrong gap." And the guy's like, he was right. I was going to blitz the wrong. Like, if you play a smart enough quarterback, you can get caught if you're predictable in any way, shape, or form. Now, not a lot of college quarterbacks are to that level, but to your point, keeping them off balance is huge.
We're about halfway through. This is the midway point of the year for Nebraska. This is game 6. When you look at the job Dana Holgorsen and John Butler have done as a whole, Adam, do you think they've done a good job of playing to Nebraska's strengths while avoiding that predictability?
I think so. It's tough because they've had to stunt a lot. They've had to blitz a lot. But at some point, and I was chatting with Jason Peter about this a couple, 3 weeks ago, at some point you do have to line up and be able to hit somebody in the mouth in base, because if you stunt enough, eventually you're going to get caught out of the lane. And that was what happened a couple times versus Michigan. If you blitz enough, you're not always going to get to the right spot every single time. And so at some point you're going to get caught. And that's where you have to be able to play base. You have to be able to zone blitz. You have to be able to stunt. You have to be able to do some twists. But then you can put your hand in the dirt and just at some point hit somebody in the mouth. And that's where I think Nebraska's defensive line was better last week. The times that they didn't blitz and didn't have to do things, they were better just in their base defense. And then when they didn't have to blitz as much, then when they did blitz, that was even more successful. And then you could show blitz, but then you back out, and then all of a sudden the man blitz looks like the zone in the back end, but you're not blitzing. Now it's man to you got your 4-man rush, maybe a 5-man rush. And it just keeps the offense off balance. If you have to stunt and you have to blitz, you're in trouble. If you can mix it up because you're getting better at just your base defense and hitting somebody in the mouth and lining up and not having to move all the time, and that's a huge thing. And that's what I thought I saw. That's what I think I saw our front 4-3 do better at last week.
We got just about a minute or two left here, Adam. What do you think ultimately happens? How happy do you think you're going to be around 6 or 6:30 tonight? Do you think Nebraska takes that next step toward bowl eligibility here in about half an hour?
I do. And here's why. I'm still nervous about this game, but Maryland does not want to run the ball. They are dead last in the Big Ten. Their quarterback can run but does not want to, which tells me even if he is able to, he's probably going to choose to do it less. And we're the number 1 pass defense in the country going against a true freshman quarterback. And unless we just allow a god-awful amount of sacks, which God forbid, I feel good about us getting the win, because they're going to have a hard time moving the ball, because what they want to do is what we are number one in the nation at stopping right now, and that's pass offense versus pass defense. So I got Nebraska 27-21. What about you, Austin?
Yeah, I think Nebraska ultimately has enough. I'm not bold enough to give a score prediction, but I do think, Nebraska has enough weapons. I generally like the matchup for the Huskers, and at the very least, I hope that their eyes were opened last week to the importance of needing to play 60 minutes, especially in a bring-your-own-juice sort of game on the road. Adam, appreciate you chiming in from the road. Have a great rest of your Saturday. We'll hear from you again on Monday.
You too. Thanks, Austin.
That's Adam Carricker with us on our Aloe Fiber VIP line. This segment of the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show has been brought to you by Currency. If you're looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work, you can explore new career options at Currency. They're hiring full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, and other fields. Apply today at gocurrency.com. 2 segments left to go, about half an hour before Nebraska kicks off from College Park, the spring break capital of the Northeast, according to some. Nebraska and Maryland coming up at 2:30. We'll bring Tristan Gomes in. He'll help me finish out the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate pregame show after this.
Hey there, this is Paul Shield, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sapbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day, because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
When the clock strikes 0 after every Nebraska football game, there's only one place to go for instant coverage. Tune in for the Husker After Party Postgame Show on 93.7 The Ticket for each game, win or lose. Call in with all your takes or text the show at 464-5685 and hear quotes from the players and coaches too. It's the Husker After Party Postgame Show, sponsored by Anderson Ford and Vinny Kreekak of State Farm Insurance.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
The Kindler Hotel in downtown Lincoln is a boutique hotel experience unlike any other in the area. Their 45 well-appointed rooms take inspiration from the history of Lincoln. Their double queen rooms are great for guests traveling with family, and the suites are great for a business trip or romantic getaway. No trip to the Kindler is complete without a handcrafted cocktail from Boitano's Lounge on the main floor, with comfortable seating options both inside and on the outside patio. Book your room today at thekindlerhotel.com in Lincoln at 11th and P.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates,
financing,
savings, and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
It's game on at Elway Power Sports of Lincoln, Nebraska's premier power sports dealership. Get geared up for savings like you've never seen before during Elway Days. Their biggest sale of the year runs October 14th through the 18th when every red tagged machine is priced at invoice plus $300. That's it. No freight, no setup, no extra fees. Don't miss out on these epic savings. Elway Power Sports of Lincoln has you covered all under one roof with a large selection of side-by-sides, ATVs, motorcycles, and personal watercraft at their 27th and I-80 location.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Don't miss Fall Discount Day this Saturday, October 11th, for one day only. Get 17% off regular priced items. That's right, 17% off. From the barn to the backyard, Baumgars has you covered for all your field, farm, and fall fix-ups. Some exclusions apply. See a store associate for details. Baumgars, what you need, when you need it.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com. Brought to you by Select Plumbing.
That's right. Half an hour before kickoff between Nebraska and Maryland. Big thanks to our friends at Select Plumbing for sponsoring this segment. Select Plumbing now servicing Seward and Milford in addition to Lincoln, Waverly, and the surrounding area. With any plumbing issues, call Select Plumbing at 402-542-5319. Austin Norman, Tristan Gomes with you here ahead of Nebraska and Maryland. Couple interesting things across the region of college football. We'll start in the SEC. Number 8, Alabama leads number 14, Missouri by just a field goal. Crimson Tide looks like they just converted on 4th down. To keep possession, they've got the ball goal to go against Missouri, 4 minutes and change remaining. How about this, though, Tristan? Down in Oxford. It's Washington State leading Ole Miss 14-10 late in the third quarter. Who saw that one coming? Not me.
The Cougars got some fight in them. I mean, I think Washington State always that team. You always just worry about a little bit. I mean, no conference right now. They kind of got a little edge to them. And I'm curious if Ole Miss kind of fell asleep at the wheel. They're like, yeah, we got a big one against LSU. We're playing well. It's Washington State.
Did you ever cross paths with the Cougs in your time in the Pacific Northwest?
We did, yeah. We had midweeks, played one there, one at home every single year. That drive to Pullman, not a fun one. And I remember I was as an Oregon fan, I was always worried about when Oregon played in Pullman because you're in the middle of nowhere. And it's kind of like, this is what Pullman's got. It's a fun place, but definitely not much going on.
Of course, this game taking place in Oxford, but appears the Cougs have traveled. 4th and 1 for Ole Miss, upcoming from the Washington State 44. It's been the backup for Ole Miss for the last handful of weeks. Austin Simmons has been out, so Trinidad Chambliss, the up transfer, has played really well in relief of Austin Simmons as Ole Miss is up to number 4 in the country with a 5-0 record. But there's a similar decision, Tristan, facing Oklahoma. They're listed technically as the road team right now in the Red River rivalry coming up here again at 2:30 from the Cotton Bowl. John Mateer, starting quarterback for Oklahoma, started the year off really strong, hurt his hand in one of the games, got surgery on it. If you're Oklahoma, what do? Mateer's questionable. Do you roll with him or do you keep it rolling with the backup quarterback?
Yeah, I think in this situation, we talked about it. You got to keep your guy healthy. What do you get? I know it's a big game, huge rivalry, means a ton to both schools, but does risking another injury or making it worse in this game really set you up for success the rest of the year? You're ranked top 10 right now. Hopefully you don't lose this one, but even if you do, you still got a shot in the SEC, and you have a healthy Mateer going forward rather than risking him being out for longer.
Decision time right now for Kalen DeBoer and Alabama. They have 4th and goal from the Missouri, approximately the 2-yard line. This looks like where they're spotting it. This is one of those kind of new age, quote unquote, decisions that I think makes a lot of sense. I think back in the day, a lot of coaches would have kicked this field goal on 4th and goal from the 2, but that just makes a one-possession game a one-possession game. And there's a wide receiver from Alabama that looks like it's it's Daniel Hill, actually. Wide open 2-yard touchdown. Alabama goes up now by 2 possessions with just over 3 minutes remaining. That one about over there in Columbia. It does feel like a wide open SEC this year. You don't really buy Ole Miss until proven otherwise. Oklahoma, up, down, or down, up again this year, but down at starting quarterback. LSU reached the top 5 and then has had its own share of issues. Georgia's good, but doesn't strike the same fear. Alabama, same sort of thing. What a fascinating conference the SEC has turned into after so long being dominated by Bama and Georgia with the weird LSU pop-up.
Yeah, it's so interesting because usually it's, people always say it's a bloodbath every single week in the SEC. But this year you have Alabama losing week 1 to Florida State. And then they go on to beat Georgia, who then became kind of the favorite. Texas opened up as number 1. They're unranked now. And then if you would have told me in week 6, we have a top 10 ranked Oklahoma and a top 10 ranked Ole Miss who just beat LSU, I'd be like, what's going on there? It's a tough conference. And I'm curious, just there's probably going to be quite a few 1-loss teams going into that, end of the year. Who's going to end up in that SEC title game?
Bigger shock that they're unranked right now in early October, Texas or Penn State?
I think I would say Penn State just because of what they had returning. I think with Texas, you have Arch Manning. There's all the hype, but he's still a fresh new quarterback. While with Penn State, you have Drew Aller. You have 2 of the best running backs in the game. And at Big Ten Media Days, you had James Franklin saying this is the most talented Penn State roster he has ever had. And so when you hear that and you go, all right, they've been on the doorstep for quite a few years, and then they lose to UCLA after a heartbreak loss to Oregon, you kind of go, how is this your most talented roster? And you're supposed to be winning these games.
Thunder Not Collins says, let's keep it on Nebraska. November 8th looks really scary right now. Well, how about this, Thunder Not Collins? Let's keep it on October 11th. That's plenty scary enough for Nebraska as they face Maryland here in just about 20 minutes or so. Fascinating weekend in the Big Ten. Illinois off a big win last week. They're down 34-10 to Ohio State early in the 4th. UCLA has the ball driving again up 38-13. About 4 minutes to go in that one. Couple intriguing games, though. The 2:30 window on CBS will be Indiana at Oregon. And then the NBC window tonight, Michigan and USC. That's a game that was kind of that clash of styles last year. I think it's going to be more of the same. On the sneak, Tristan, both those teams, Michigan and USC, enter today with a 4-1 record. Michigan's in the top 15, USC outside the top 25. Who do you have more confidence in the rest of the year to sustain their level of play, Michigan or USC?
I think I got to go with Michigan. I think after seeing their run game here in Lincoln, it was tough to watch. But when you watch their run game, you get that Michigan presence. They're going to dominate the line of scrimmage. They're going to pound the rock as much as they can. And I think USC is still trying to fit into this powerful Big Ten where you have to dominate the line of scrimmage offensively and defensively. USC has that West Coast offense, and I expect Michigan's defense to translate well going against that. I'm not sure how well USC's defense is going to be able to stop the run.
USC's wins so far this year, Missouri State, Georgia Southern, Purdue, and Michigan State. Hung 33 on the Boilers on the road. Bit of a sleepy first half. Purdue hung around with that one for a little bit. And then Michigan State, USC ended up winning a bit of a track meet there 45-31 before going on the road, losing by a couple points there at Illinois. And this is a fascinating stretch for USC. The at Illinois game, which turns into this Michigan game. Next weekend, they're on the road at Notre Dame before a bye week, and they head to Lincoln. This is really the stretch that I think will tell us if USC has turned a corner under Lincoln Riley. Didn't lose any games they shouldn't have lost necessarily, but this to me is part of that ceiling-defining stretch for USC to see if they can actually break out of that middle tier into the fringy playoff tier, or if they're just going to be essentially Purdue West Coast from what Jeff Brom had running for a while.
Yeah. I mean, USC, Nebraska, Maryland, I think these are all teams that are kind of in that middle of the pack of the Big Ten. And I think each and every one of them is thinking to themselves, we got to put ourselves a step ahead. You have to win these games where you kind of have equal opponents. I think today against Maryland is one where Maryland's feeling the same way. If they want to take a step forward, they got to win this game at home. And so I don't think this is by any means going to be just a cakewalk for Nebraska, but it's definitely going to be a game where Nebraska has to show up and just, not give away one of those easy ones to say in the Big Ten.
That's Tristan Gomes, radio professional, making my segue for me. Just how important is this game for Nebraska against Maryland? What could a victory mean for the program? That's how we'll wrap up pregame after this.
Hey there, this is Paul Scheel, owner of High Electric. I want to thank our friends and loyal customers and introduce High Electric to those looking for a new electrician. We've been serving the Lincoln and Omaha area for over 30 years, from design to install, upgrades, and repair. If you are a homeowner or a small business needing some electrical work, call us at 402-466-6606 or check us out at hyelectric.com. We look forward to hearing from you.
Are you looking for an exciting new way to put your skills to work? Explore new career options in the fintech industry at Currency, a Sandhills global company. We offer full-time positions in financial sales, compliance, operations, and other fields. We also offer a 4.5-day work week, an attractive benefits package, and opportunities for advancement. Put your motivation to work and grow with us at Currency. Visit gocurrency.com/careers to learn more.
Nebraska farmers, harvest is here and every gallon counts. That's why Sapp Brothers Petroleum launched the Go Big Red Fuel Giveaway. When you contract your fuel with Sapp Brothers, enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. As Husker Country knows, the only thing stronger than the roar at Memorial Stadium is the drive of a farmer putting food on the table. Fuel your farm with Sapp Brothers Petroleum and enter to win $1,000 in fuel credits. Visit sappbros.net today. Sapp Brothers Petroleum, fueling the heartland. Go Big Red.
MWR is dedicated to building attractive, affordable steel buildings that exceed your expectations. From commercial to residential to agriculture storage, steel buildings are cost-effective, attractive, and versatile. Plus, they're a lasting investment and an ideal choice. MWR uses Sentinel Building Systems out of Albion and can service you all over the state and region. If you have interest in a steel building, post-frame building, or fencing, give MWR a call today at 402-980-5273 or go to mwrbuildingandfence.com.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Don't miss Fall Discount Day this Saturday, October 11th, for one day only. Get 17% off regular priced items. That's right, 17% off. From the barn to the backyard, Baumgars has you covered for all your field, farm, and fall fix-ups. Some exclusions apply. See a store associate for details. Baumgars, what you need, when you need it.
Things that impair you come in many different shapes and sizes. Some are the shape of beer and liquor bottles. Others look like cigarettes but aren't cigarettes at all. These are the things we know impair us, the things our parents warned us about. What we're not always aware of is our new prescription or the over-the-counter medicine we picked up just for allergies or a bad cold. See, it doesn't just matter how much of a substance you take. If you are impaired, driving is deceptively dangerous. Don't drive impaired. Paid for by the NDOT Highway Safety Office.
At Jimmy John's, we don't make sandwiches. We make the sandwich of sandwiches. We use fresh veggies because we don't hate salads. We just feel bad for them. We make our sandwiches exactly how you want because you're the one who's eating it. And we bake bread all day, every day because stale bread isn't bread. It's croutons. Sandwich history is written by the victors. Good thing we have legible handwriting. Jimmy John's, the sandwich of sandwiches. Order pickup or delivery on the app.
Schaefer's is celebrating its 79th anniversary with special rebates, financing, savings, and free delivery store-wide.
Update your home with innovative Samsung appliances and save up to an additional $900 with rebates. Samsung Innovation saves you energy and time with easy-to-connect appliance technology. Plus, during Schaefer's anniversary, get free delivery on your appliance purchase.
So hurry in during Schaefer's 79th anniversary event, going on now.
Sometimes good people make mistakes. When you find yourself in need of an attorney, call Liberty Law Group. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group will defend you in court and protect your freedom to get you the best possible outcome and the justice you deserve. Trust your freedom to Liberty Law Group, the best criminal attorneys in Nebraska and Iowa. Call them today at 877-404-5238. That's 877-404-5238. Or check them out online at libertylawgroup.com.
I'm Kirk Herbstreit, and today I'm eating Raising Cane's.
Herbstreit's in the drive-thru again. Oh, hey, Kirk. What can I get you today?
I want a solid bench of 4 chicken fingers that are real difference makers. Sprinkle cut fries with dynamic ridge patterns, Texas toast, and cane sauce with an air of smugness that comes from knowing you're the best. Now back to you, Todd.
So the usual.
Make Raising Cane's part of your game day lineup. One love.
Select Plumbing and Utility has been serving Lincoln and the surrounding area for 14 years, and they're not slowing down. Select Plumbing and Utility handles all your plumbing needs, from faucets and water heaters to full renovations, and they can even help with your heating and cooling needs. They're also Lincoln's underground experts, repairing and replacing broken underground water and sewer lines since day one. Contact Select Plumbing and Utility today at 402-560-6197, assuring excellence in every situation, opportunity, and challenge. That's 402-560-6197.
Back to the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show, brought to you by A1 Automotive.
That's right. We're wrapping up the A1 Automotive Ticket Tailgate Pregame Show. 15 minutes and counting from kickoff between Nebraska and Maryland. Austin Norman, Tristan Gomes with you. A huge shout out to Kendall Warnock, his family, and his crew at A1 Automotive for their title sponsorship of the show. A1 Automotive, always honest answers. Now, at 2 locations, 11th and L downtown, just not too far from us, and then 5110 State Hill Drive in Lincoln. Tristan, you brought it up. This is the kind of game that a Nebraska team needs to win to take the next step as a program. I could not agree anymore. And I think really this whole month is that sort of thing for Nebraska, at least the first 3 weeks. Michigan State didn't play its best game, but had some weapons, hurt Nebraska at times. Maryland on the road, and then a short week against Minnesota. 3-0 is ideal. I think 2-1 is the bare minimum for Nebraska out of this 3-game stretch. They already banked a win. But I said it all week. The win for Nebraska against Michigan State is the type of win that elevates you from 6-6 to 8-4. Now, I know there's a 2-game gap in there, so you got to make one up somewhere else. But that's where I rely on Jay Foreman's, winning feeling, winning confidence. You know what it's like to win a game like that. It wouldn't shock me if Nebraska-Maryland looks somewhat similar. Hopefully without the dramatics in the middle of the game. I expect this one to be maybe a little bit more back and forth as Scott Frost is onside kicking. Just thought you all should know that. It did not go Scott Frost's way again this time, but it was expected, and Cincinnati recovers with 2 minutes to go. But it's time to see what lessons Nebraska learned from last week. And whether you were a fan of the win or you hated how Nebraska got the win, either way, they got the win.
Yep.
They're 4-1. I would say they're on schedule, if not ahead of schedule. They're favored on the road. To me, the next step of the program is going out and honestly, even if it's not a game Nebraska, quote unquote, should win, I think you can still handle business in an environment and opportunity like this.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely favored, I believe, 6.5 right now. And Vegas always knows something, so hopefully they know something today. But I think you said it perfectly. This is the opportunity for Nebraska to take this next step. This is the opportunity for them to get out of that kind of 6-6 vibe, just trying to make a bowl game. This is an opportunity where you almost establish yourself as one of the teams in the top half of the Big Ten, and you're moving forward with that.
Officially now 21.5 minutes from kickoff as UCLA wraps up a 38-13 win over Michigan State. Now, the Bruins continue to be the surprise of college football over the last couple of weeks. So it'll be a 2:40 kickoff for Nebraska and Maryland from College Park. Only 3 matchups in school history between these two teams. Lots changed since the last time these two teams met in Lincoln. What won't change is that if Nebraska turns the ball over 5 times against Maryland like it did in 2023, it won't go the Huskers' way. Tristan, we'll start on the offensive side of things for Nebraska. Do you have a key player or two for Nebraska's success?
I think the run game needs to get going. I think Emmett needs to have a big game, and the offensive line has to open those holes for them. But more importantly, I think this is a game when you look at Maryland's defense, who is top in the country in sacks per game, and they have 9 interceptions, leading the Big Ten. This is a game where I think Dylan has to probably evade some pressure. I think the offensive line definitely needs to give him some time. But how can you avoid those sacks, even if it ends up just throwing the ball away? Or I think he's done a good job of checking it down when need to. I think that's going to be important when you have some ball hawks in the secondary and a defensive line that creates some pressure. Dylan's going to need to take what the defense gives him, and 5 turnovers, that happens when you're trying to force the ball, make things happen. I think if he can just take what Maryland's defense gives him, he's going to have a lot of success.
Projected starters out for Nebraska. Elijah Pritchett listed as questionable on the injury report. He is on the projected starting lineup tweet, so take that for whatever it's worth. A couple other interesting things on defense. Marquise Beaver Jr. or Rex Guthrie listed as a starter at safety. And then, of course, it is Sierra Wright still inside at nickel, with Malcolm Hartzog Jr. still unavailable, officially out for today's game. I do think the run game is important just in principle, but also because of the 19 sacks you mentioned.
Yep.
What's the best way to keep a pass rush at bay? It's not to throw screens to beat it. It's not to, have the quick hitters. It's to run the ball.
Yep.
Have them face blocks, have a guy in their face all day long, and not give them those one-on-one matchups that they train all offseason for, right? You don't train stopping the run in the offseason. You work on your pass rush repertoire. That's where I think Nebraska, 125 rushing yards in the first half goes a long way. Hopefully it's around 4.5 to 5 yards per carry for Nebraska. But like Dana Holgerson said, if it's not working, he's not going to call it. And I appreciate that about him. I think every offensive coordinator would at least pay lip service to that fact. But how many times have we seen or heard, establish the run, keep after it, it'll pay dividends in the fourth quarter? It's true to a point. But the ultimate point is to win the game.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, if running the ball is not working in the first or second quarters, if you want to give it a try again in the third quarter, great. But ultimately, the point of football is not to run the ball. The point of football is to win the game.
Yeah.
And so far, Nebraska's 4-1 doing what it's done. Sounds like the weather's cleared up in College Park. Should be a pretty good day for some college football. And that's where, Tristan, I think it's important that Nebraska doesn't let any elements get in its head, continues to throw the ball the way that it has effectively, but also bring the run game along, right? Don't throttle down the pass game just to improve the run game. To me, the passing offense has to be the impetus for the running game getting going. Like, hey, we don't want to just pigeonhole ourselves into a passing team. We do it a lot because it's our strength, because we have good players there. But man, running backs, you want the ball, we'll give it to you, but you got to prove you're worthy of it too.
Yeah. There's so many teams in the country that would love to have a back like Emmett Johnson. So you got to get your guy the ball as much as you can. But if it's not working, Nebraska has proven this year that they can air it out a little bit, and we're going to take what the defense gives us. I think one thing that would be nice is when you have a 2-dimensional offense and the defensive line has to worry a little bit, they can't just go full out pass rush. I think we saw that a little bit against Michigan, is they were full out pass rush all the time, and they got home to Dylan Raiola 7 times. And that's because they really weren't worried about the run. And when you are running the ball, even if it's just a little bit effective, you can mix in some play action. Give Dylan a little bit more time, And I think that's what's really going to set Nebraska apart today, is if they can even just get a little run game going. But if it doesn't work, does Dana have in his bag just the play calls where they can just air it out?
Defensively, a key player or two for you in this matchup.
Yeah. I think I'm going to have to go with Deshaun Singleton. He had big interception last week, pretty much went right into his hands perfectly. But I think it's going to come down to this secondary. It's been an unbelievable secondary all year so far. But with a team like Maryland, who I believe their leading rusher has 200 yards on the year. They want to air it out. Malik Washington, true freshman. I think it's going to be huge for the defensive line to get some pressure. I think if Nuwari can get going a little bit, make Malik Washington a little uncomfortable, make him force some throws, that's going to help Nebraska's defense out a ton.
You brought up a name there that's one of my key players here for today for Nebraska, and that is Williams Nwaneri, who off a year last year as a freshman kind of a non-impact player in Missouri, which, okay, makes sense. He is a freshman. I'm really curious to see if last week was a breakout performance for him and he can sustain that. And I would even throw Javen Wright in that category as a 7th-year player. I respect and I appreciate what Javen Wright has done for the program in a lot of ways. I think last week he really played with his hair on fire. I think it was probably his best overall game at Nebraska with all the ways he was able to impact winning. I think we've seen that from Nebraska players from time to time, though, where you have your one good game and, you've arrived. You've made it. The fan base puts that expectation on them. I want to see Williamson Morgan. I want to see Javen Wright double down in a game that I think will set up to play to their skill sets pretty well. Tristan Gomes, thanks for being here late last night, early again today.
Yes,
enjoy the rest of your weekend as best you can. Husker fans, we will be back, and by we, I mean Nick and Jay, immediately at the conclusion of the game for the Jay Foreman post-game show. Big thanks, as always, to our friends at A1 Automotive for their sponsorship of the Ticket Tailgate pregame show. Always honest answers. A1 Automotive at 11th and L, and now 5110 State Hill Drive here in Lincoln. For Tristan, I'm Austin, and the rest of the Ticket crew. It's been a blast. We'll talk to you again either in the near future for postgame or again sometime next week. Nebraska and Maryland about 15 minutes away. Stick with us here on the Ticket.
This fall, Baumgars has everything you need to get your farm ready for the season. Don't miss Fall Discount Day.